I don't have to check any game
Right.
levels because there's like card flipping and
Tester yells.
huh?
Right.
Yeah, we're all
The
you
tester's
get
yelling.
everybody is at yellow
Okay.
because it's actually pretty low. Because I've been recording or I've been streaming with everybody else at World War Z, and I could
Hmm.
barely hear them. Hey guys, we're back. We're playing our buddy's card game, Shattered Arena. Scott, say hi,
Hello.
and
I'm
Josh
the
is here too.
Oh,
yeah.
hey, what's up, guys?
Thanks thanks for having me.
Hell yeah. So, Scott, do you have a brief description of your card game here?
Sure. So this is Shattered Arena. It is like a tactical arena card game where each deck kind of personifies a specific fighter and their style. And when the player plays this game, they basically take on the role of that fighter, and all the things on the board are the weapons and armor that they're wearing, and the deck contains cards that are like techniques, so like moves that you can do. And then there are items and favors, and the favors are supposed to represent like an interaction between the fighter and the audience, or like their like sponsor, sort of like a tyrant that's making them fight the other player. Um, and yeah, so it it's kind of like a toe to toe like direct combat game between two characters. My idea for that was to to make the card game kind of like tight and look at all the interactions between two fighters that are possible instead of going like really big like a lot of other card games with like lots of creatures or whatever.
Yeah, Josh and we've played a few games together, and it's definitely one of those things where you can kind of pick up, kind of learn the little uh, things that make the game really fun, and then once you start getting into it, you can pick it up and start running with it. Um, if anybody's curious why we're doing this live, I mean, we're doing this in the middle of the quarantine. We're all in our homes, and we're actually playing the game in what's called Tabletop Simulator on
Hmm.
Steam. Scott created, he already had all the assets for the game because you actually printed out all of this stuff, right?
Yeah, so this right now, Shattered Arena is not yet published,
Yes.
and I was planning on running a on a funding campaign, possibly later this year. This is before obviously the any inkling of a quarantine,
Hmm.
I
or
will be
possibly
top
the year
tier,
after.
so just saying.
And so yeah, so we plan on printing this, having this be a physical tabletop card game, and that was really going to be the only way that you play this. But given the situation where we have a lot of people who are in, and it's hard for me to run around and demo, uh, like this makes a lot of sense to use Tabletop Simulator. And so all the assets that are in here that are the game assets are original for Shattered Arena. Like the table and then the interactivity and the menus and things like that belong to Tabletop Simulator.
Yeah. And I thought it was really convenient, I guess, saying that you had like a lot of the art assets ready to go, and
Yeah,
a way for instead of everybody having to meet up at a store or even at your house to play test some of these things. I think what was really nice is that even when with the games that we were playing, you're able to actually like tweak it a little bit in terms of wording, in terms of some stats on some cards to bring
yeah.
later.
Iterating on the game is definitely easier in this format, instead of then going back to my files and making updates and then obviously reprinting, recutting, resleeving. Um, takes a bit of time and effort. So this is a lot actually easier to iterate on the game. And my friend Calvin and I, we've been going out to a lot of game stores and conventions demoing this. Last year we went to Gen Con and we had like 50 players over like 18 hours. It was pretty awesome.
Damn,
That
So
is
it's
fucking awesome.
nuts.
Yes. That is
Yeah.
awesome. I'm
So
very happy. I'm
uh,
very happy that it's getting some good reviews and good
me too. I
feedback.
was really psyched about people's reaction to the game. The main reason that I'm making it is it's basically like a passion project. It would be nice if it made money, but the main thing that I want is for people to have this combat experience that's exciting and kind of customizable, and it's a little different. And I don't know, I'm just really excited about it. I love to play it myself, to tweak it. I love to design more cards and deck concepts and things like that for it. So
Yeah, I love the whole idea of two gladiators or two fighters
Yeah.
going against each other. What do you think, Josh?
Oh yeah, yeah, me too. I fell in love with it immediately, just because I like every time that we've played like a card game, like you and I, like especially Magic,
Mm.
it's always like from an unknown like perspective. Like you're just summing a bunch of things, but like this is from the perspective of the fighter, and you're like trying to equip your fighter,
Yeah, like I'm the
and
guy.
like yeah, and like you're trying to earn favor, and
Which now
I
that
think I
right.
think it's I think
now
and
that
and like one thing I wanted to portray is all the little nuances that could come out in interactions. So like, an attack, and then, you block with, you use this part of your armor to block it and counterattack, and then he uses a technique to avoid your counterattack, and,
exactly.
yeah,
here is the weapon away or whatever, all these different kinds of little
very
interactions that
visual.
can happen.
Yeah. So when
That,
anybody watching, you're gonna see us like swinging at each other during our turns, but then they can still react with their attacks to us. It really feels like a fight going on between two people, and
right.
um
And I feel
and,
like that's an important part, like one of the main concepts that I wanted to stay true to from the beginning. Like I was like, okay, this is not, this is something that is a core part of the design, and nothing should go against that.
exactly.
So, I mean, that being said, I would say like the main three things that kind of personify this game, the fact that it is that kind of combat where it's all these minute things happening between two fighters or even three fighters. You can play this game 3 and 4 player. um, and then another part of it is the durability. So you can see on all of the cards and the weapons and armor that'll come into play, there's a durability point value. That's
Mhm.
the number in the upper right hand corner of the card.
Yep.
And every time you block with a weapon or armor, it loses a durability, and then it'll go out of play. It's just kind of like part of the namesake of the game, Shattered Arena. So you're breaking through the opponent's armor and weapons and things like that, kind of deciding what you're going to allow to go out of play sometimes.
Yep.
In order to favor other items. It's like part of your strategy. And then, of course, the other part of the game that I think is really cool is when you're customizing a deck, which is only 40 cards, so it's pretty tight.
Yep.
It's not like making an army, but it's like character creation in a way.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you're choosing like what attributes you want to put into it, and the style of the weapons and armor, and some of the strategies. So whether it's like indirect and you're using like poison and other effects, or
Yeah.
whether you're a heavy hitter, or like a quick character that can perform multiple attacks per turn, whatever style you want to make.
Well, that in mind, why don't we take a look at some how we start off the game? So right
Yeah,
off the
sure.
bat,
Go ahead.
we have the 40 card deck, three of which are the starters, which Josh and I already have them out on the board. My character is more of a heavy hitting gladiator type guy. I want to get some weapons out. Very little armor, and if they are armored, not too many block points or durabilities. While Josh's is more of a very quick character,
Agile.
agile, exactly.
And I'm not wearing any pants.
Yep, no pants. You can see Josh is pantsless, and actually so am I. We're both just wearing helmets and shoes, which is usually how I fight.
He's wearing some armor, but no shoes.
Which when we were talking about like having gladiators, I forgot that I wanted to like cosplay like some gladiator shit on.
Oh yeah.
I want like especially if we were gonna do this live because we were talking about doing this like months ago, and one of the things as Josh and I were kind of like spitballing back and forth because we're like, where are we going to get cameras? How are we going to get like a top-down view of this all? I was like, and in my mind, I'm like, where am I going to get my costume? When should I start getting? When should I start making it? What day of the week can I go to Hobby Lobby?
I actually, I actually looked at full-size metal gladiator helmets that are quality, um, partly for like props for conventions, but maybe also for costuming. And
Nice.
there actually are some really nice ones for in the range of like $200. So it surprised me that you can get really high quality like steel helmets
Okay.
for pretty low cost. I'm
Really?
surprised.
Okay.
Wow. All right.
Maybe
So
after this we fight for real,
we have to watch back on our stream and then find what weapons we equipped during the
Tim.
stream and the recording
Yeah,
and be like, hold on, I got to
back to
put on my shoes. Hold on, this is the turn where I take off my shoes and I put on a different pair of shoes.
yeah, I
break
mean,
your shoes.
I like visualizing what the gladiators would look like with their gear, you know,
Yeah.
as it changes through the game. Because, you know, yeah, I mean, maybe the guy's wearing like a loincloth if he wasn't wearing the rest of the stuff. So I could imagine that, you know, Tim's character is wearing this helmet, like a loincloth,
All
and
right,
he
let's
has
stop. We
these
can stop
sandals.
imagining what our sexy gladiators look like. Um, all right,
But
Scott, why
it's cool
don't
to
you?
imagine him like evolving and changing in it.
Yeah, right. So, Scott, let me hover over the turn list right now, and you can go ahead
Mhm.
and describe how each player's turn will be, so that way anybody watching can see how what the progression is as Josh and I take our turns.
Sure. Why don't you guys draw your first 7 cards though, and then we'll do that.
Sounds good.
Like, well, I'm gonna talk through the first turn.
Sounds good.
So at the beginning of the game, each player draws 7 cards. It's kind of like a starting hand, and you can kind of do sort of like a partial mulligan with these. So you can select any number of those cards, and basically, what we do if we're in person in the game, when we're playing the game in person, like at a game store or something, I tell people take any number of cards and put them face down underneath your deck,
Hmm.
and then draw that many cards.
Hmm.
So you get to do that once at the beginning of the game.
Right.
That's a little bit more difficult of an action in this interface, like to put a handful of cards at the bottom of the deck.
Yeah.
So you can just set aside a number of cards that you want to redraw,
Hmm.
draw up, you know, draw that many cards, and then just shuffle those back into your deck.
Mm.
So you can do that to kind of tweak what your starting hand is. So
Okay.
do either of you guys want to do that, or you're
I
set?
think
I'm
I
actually
think
I'm actually set.
okay.
Yeah, you're set too.
Nice.
Damn. Now we
I
can't
think so.
showcase what it looks like.
That's
Uh.
okay. So that's fine. I think people will understand. Okay, so in the first turn, I'm gonna say that that Tim is gonna go first in this game.
No, let's roll for it. Let's roll for it.
Okay, go ahead and roll for it.
Oh,
So
okay.
in Tabletop Simulator, there's
So
like bag dice and stuff, and we could just grab these things and kind of toss them at each other.
Is there a button for roll?
Yeah,
yeah, it's just R to
R.
randomize.
Okay.
It's just like shuffling the deck.
Damn it.
And in the rule set, what I would do is I would say whoever wins that roll is the one who decides who gets to go
Okay. Yeah, I like how in
first, like
Magic.
in case you don't want to, right? Okay, so if you're the first person to take a turn, you don't draw 1 card at the beginning of your turn.
Right.
Tim, you can go. You can go first.
Okay.
It'd probably be better for their perspective to see a turn.
Sure. Okay,
All
so
right.
normally Tim would draw a card. That would
Yes.
be the beginning of the turn phase. So we're kind of back to what you're saying. So turn actions are now draw 1 card.
Mhm.
Since it's your first turn and you're the first player to go, you don't. So then essentially you can play, with some exceptions, you can play pretty much 1 card of every type during your turn. So the way the turn phases go, it's like the beginning of turn draw, then kind of the main phase where you can do things like put more armor in play, put an attribute in play. It's like a resource that lets you equip other things.
Mhm.
Use an item, which they have a lot of different purposes. Like it could be a thrown attack. It could be there can be an item that lets you look in the deck for more attributes and resources, things like that. Use a technique. This is kind of like a spell. It's like a one-time thing that you resolve its action and then it goes in the discard. These can vary. They can be things like, getting to search the deck for something or swapping something out or that sort of a thing. There are some techniques that are attack techniques. They're combat-based things.
Mhm.
And those you have to use in a combat step.
Yep.
Okay. Which we'll get to in a sec. And then you can put on trinkets. Trinkets are cards that would basically stack on to existing cards. Like you just stack it under,
Mhm.
and it would add a special property to that card.
Yep.
Like an enchant kind of a thing. Okay. Sorry, I'm this black hand that's moving around. I'm kind of like the game master. So if you see me
Yes.
pointing to things, that's me.
Don't touch my cards.
Okay,
Don't touch my
so-
cards ever again.
You get my bad.
I have these in mint
So,
condition. These are first edition. Only no fingerprints.
These guys will always be. So yeah. So then there's combat, and you can play any of these actions in any order, which is part of your strategy. So you could, let's say, play some card, make an attack, play something else, put a weapon in play.
Yep.
Do these in any order, and then you have to announce the end of your turn. So after combat, which we'll get to in a bit, you might end up with some cards that are committed, which is kind of like, it's like being tapped. Like you turn it to keep track of the fact that it has been, kept, that you've used it. That's committed. Okay. And then this is ready. Okay. So if a card's upright, it's ready. If it's turned to the side, it's committed. Okay. So when your turn ends and it's going to go to the other player's turn, one thing you do at the end is you refresh cards, and so does the other player. So in between turns, everybody refreshes their cards. So you don't have to worry about, if I attack with this, I won't be able to block with it next turn or anything like that. It doesn't work that way.
Mhm.
Now, there's also the ability to exhaust a card, which means you flip it all the way upside down. And so in between
we can get to that.
turns, this
We can
makes-
get to that afterwards, because I don't think
Yeah,
I don't
sure,
have
okay.
a lot of exhaustion.
Okay,
Oh, I'll be exhausting you, Tim. But not with
Probably.
cards.
probably. Okay, so yeah, so I mean, at the end of your turn, again, you announce the end of your turn. Oh, then there are the status dice.
Mhm.
So if you have a status effect, like your Berserk or something like that, it will create an effect. If you're Berserk, you must attack whenever you're able. If you have poison at the end of your turn, if you have a poison die on your board, you take 1 point of damage for each poison die that's there.
Yep.
Not the pips on the die, not the numbers, but the number of dice themselves.
Mhm.
So the pips, the numbers that are shown on the dice, mean how many turns that'll be active for. So
Mhm.
each turn it'll go down by 1 at the end of your turn until it's clear.
Okay.
And you no longer have a status effect.
All right.
And
So
so that's what turns are like.
yeah. So here's an example of it. It's going to be very uneventful, but I am going to place down an appeal, and my turn. So start of the turn, we can't attack each other, correct?
Oh, yes. When the game starts, neither player can attack each other in their first turn. It's kind
Or
of like
just
your first
walking
turn
out.
together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. All right.
I like that concept.
So I'll end my turn with that, Josh. It's your go.
So yeah,
I
so you
don't
can go
draw,
ahead and
right?
draw 1 card.
Oh, I
Dra-
do?
Yeah.
Okay.
You draw, Josh. I don't.
Yeah, just Tim didn't get to draw since he's the first player.
I'm going to attack. Just kidding.
Damn
I'll
it.
play a Vial of Growth. So it allows me to search my library for some badassery.
Armory.
Yeah,
My armory, sorry.
the deck is called the Armory in this game, but yeah, it's a deck. So so the item that Josh has used, items never have a cost to put it into play. Don't have any requirements to put it. It's just like a free action.
Is there a
You get to
button
do
that
one per
flips the
turn.
card over?
Yeah, you can just hit F to flip it.
Sweet. Perfect. Thank you.
And if you're holding a card, you
That's
can
the
click
middle
the middle
mouse.
mouse.
Yeah,
So,
that's
like,
just
yeah,
very
click it.
inconvenient for me. So
Sure.
want to not
I
do
know
that.
that sometimes the scroll wheel is like, too sensitive for that.
So Tim, I'm going to flip your character off. How do you respond?
With an appeal. Very
Okay.
appealing.
Yeah, very appealing. Sweet. Your turn. Tim should get a pip of berserk from that, I think.
Oh, you! All right, if you're on your,
Well,
I'll draw.
yeah, and there's no maxed hand size. So there are these different attributes as well. So Tim has put an appeal into play. So there's sort of these different suits in the game of different attributes, and they kind of have different innate characteristics. So like appeal is usually about getting extra draws, using exotic effects,
Joe Exotic.
things like that. Whereas that deck also has strength, which is a red attribute color. It allows you to equip heavy weapons and armor. There are techniques that are strength-based that increase attack power and that sort of thing.
Yeah, so the attributes, I don't know if you were mentioning this while I was reading my cards, but these are pretty much like the mana, if you're familiar with
Yeah.
Magic the Gathering.
Nah.
But these aren't used to play the cards. That's just the threshold of what my attribute level has to be to actually play the cards. So I can play multiple of these cards, correct?
Yeah,
As long as I have those attributes.
correct. Like if you had a weapon that required 2 appeal to put into play, you could put that into play, and then you could also put a trinket or armor in play that requires 2.
Yes.
No problem.
So I'm actually going to play this trinket for now. This one I'm going to up my boots durability and uh, block stat by 1 and durability by 2.
Right.
All right, and then I'm going.
So one other thing I want to mention just really quickly,
Sure.
in games like this, there are some newer card games where they avoid having, like things like resources as cards in the deck because people can get, there's that term mana screwed, and nobody likes it when they don't have
Yep.
resources when they can't put something into play.
Yep.
So there are a lot of cards in this game that are used to search the deck that can kind of loop you into searching out or drawing attributes. But also your starting armors, like every character has 2 starting armor, and they tend to be mostly the same in terms of stats. It might be shifted slightly. But they all have this starter sacrifice ability that says you can discard this armor to search your armory for 1 attribute and put it in your hand.
Yep.
So you'll have at least 2 attributes, no matter how bad your draws are at the beginning of the game. And with 40 cards in the deck, you're going to get some.
All right, Josh. Get ready.
Bring it.
I'm swinging for 4.
Okay, so in combat, what Tim, all he has to do when he's attacking is commit a weapon and basically just declare the attack. So this weapon has a stab of 4. The damage types usually aren't important. I'm considering even just losing them for an attack versus block stats. But there are some cards right now, not in these 2 decks, that might say something like all slash is increased by 1 or whatever.
That's cool.
So anyway, he's attacking with this 4, and now it's up to Josh to respond to that. Anytime you attack, it opens up a response. So we can respond to this in multiple ways. The easy way to kind of wrap your mind around what he can do is that he can use 1 weapon to respond to the attack, and he can also use 1 armor to respond to the attack. Now, if he does nothing, he would take 4 points of damage. These 20-sided dice are life counters, and really the only way to win this game is to kill your opponent. So if you deck out or something like that, it doesn't end the game. You must kill the other player. Anyway, so what Josh can do is, let's say he chooses to block using the armor or something like that. Which would you like to block with? What are you going to block with?
I'll block with my arm.
Okay, so let's say he blocks with this armor for his arms, a lacquered vambrace. So it blocks 3 of the damage So 1 comes through and he would lose 1 health. And then he's also putting this die on the card to keep track of its durability, the card's durability. So that armor lost 1 point of durability from having blocked.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how anything loses durability, from blocking. And then it'll eventually go out of play when it breaks from that, doing something like that, like blocking. Okay, now he can also
Jeez.
respond.
Oh, that was.
Oh my
What was,
God.
what was that?
He can also respond with a weapon. And one way that he could do it is to commit that weapon to, like, basically do a double block. So he could be blocking with a weapon and armor at the same time,
Mm-hmm.
therefore blocking up to 6 points with these 2 cards.
Yep.
If he did that, both cards would lose a durability. So that's kind of the cost of the big block. Okay. Now, I'm assuming you're counterattacking. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is another pretty important part of this game that makes it a little bit different. Is now Josh is counterattacking with his dagger.
Mm-hmm.
So what that means is now it's back to Tim to basically respond to Josh's response, so he can block with his armor. Now this armor now blocks 4, so it would stop all of the damage, and it would lose 1 durability. And that
Yes.
armor's durability was boosted to,
Oops.
what, 5?
Yes.
Yeah, so now it's at 4.
Yes.
Okay, so
So
that's how
I
that
block.
combat step went. So a key thing in this game is to always try to read, like, what your opponent is gonna do. Like, do you think they're gonna counterattack? Like, don't go in and attack somebody with a dagger if they're gonna hit you back with a huge axe, for example.
With
Yeah.
no
Like, you
armor.
have to find a balance. You know, there might be like an indirect attack you could use, a thrown item, or a way to circumvent that, like a technique that would allow you to avoid being attacked, things like that.
Yeah.
All right, Josh. I end my turn.
Pot of greed.
My turn.
So I drew. I'm gonna drop an agility here.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to play Fluid Stance, which allows me to search my armory for 2 technique cards.
Oh God, that's pretty good. You're just stacking your hand. Ugh.
Right, and that orange deck there that Josh is playing, kind of like an assassin type. He's got a lot of different techniques. He can take this opportunity to grab the right techniques for the situation, or however it's developing, and have basically have like a special move for the right situation.
Yeah. So
And and once you guys, like, you saw the back and forth of the way that the turns work. So once you kind of have an idea of how that works, the game will accelerate. And
an
at the
ensnaring catch.
beginning of the game, the boards are pretty, like, symmetrical, so not a lot happens. You might get a couple attacks back and forth and just block and loosen durability.
Mhm.
And then in about the 3rd and 4th turn, the boards start to get more and more asymmetrical based on their build, and then it gets wild.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's nuts.
Attacking again. I will block again, like what we did earlier, and then I will counterattack you back with.
And I will block with this.
Sounds good. All right. So then you lose another 1, and then at the end of his turn, or at the beginning of my turn, our stuff refreshes. And then I will draw for my turn. I will play my own Violet Growth.
How do you
Yeah,
think today's society would handle a actual gladiator TV show where we fight to the death?
Like real,
Yeah,
like in real life.
Yeah.
I'm kind of afraid to know at this point.
I have a feeling it'd be very successful.
One thing to know that whenever you search your deck for anything, you do reveal the cards to the other player. I don't think there's any. I think that was one
That's
of the.
correct. It doesn't say so on the cards, but that's a written rule book kind of a rule. Anytime you search something from the deck, you have to reveal it and then shuffle the deck, of course. This is just to keep players from, pulling illegal cards or whatever they want from the deck.
Exactly.
Now, Tim just put this new weapon in play. Notice he has
Yes.
3 attribute points over there. And this weapon is a really basic weapons with nice stats, no special powers, but good stats. And it requires 3 of any attribute. That's why the attribute cost show on that card is gray. Like the 3 circles are gray. They're not specifically,
Yes.
it's a colorless.
Anyone,
basically.
yeah, exactly. Whoever's familiar with Magic, yeah, that counts as colorless. I will attack with my Pugo dagger.
Right, and weapons come into play committed, as you saw, like Tim played it properly, putting it in committed like that. But it'll be ready to block or counter as soon as his turn is over. You just can't draw it and attack immediately.
Yes.
Now Josh has some abilities to do that, to make it a bit like haste, where you can like put a card in.
I'm going
weapon.
to block with my face.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Block with that
1.
face, baby.
And then I will counterattack.
Counterattack. Going with my legs again, since this thing is stacked anyway.
Yeah, that's a really nice like starting kind of holdover for you.
Whoops.
So early game, you're really only kind of working that armor out of play.
Yep.
And not taking any damage. It's like it's a nice way to start.
Yes.
Sure.
And I end my turn. Yes.
Draw.
Put it right in my face. I should do that whenever I go to whenever I go Friday Night Magic, and just be like, draw, and I like draw my card and like show the back of the card and shove it into my opponent's face. Count them, one card.
So now that I'm kind of jealous about Tim's life total and his weapon, I'm gonna throw a rock at him.
Son of a gun! I'm gonna block with my face.
No, you can't.
Okay.
Can't. Oh,
so
no,
that
can't
item,
be countered.
That's correct. So basically, thematically in this game, anytime you're throwing something, you cannot be counterattacked. It's like they have range advantage.
Yeah.
So he's making an attack that causes 3 stab damage, and he cannot be counterattacked. So this is just like an item that you can throw as a weapon. It goes in the discard.
I love the detail in these cards. The little chain hanging off the edge on here. Everything about this, Scott, looks very, very neat.
Thank you. I try to make the layout be, nice looking and really convey like the theme of the game. You notice in the lower right-hand area of every card is a large icon, like a stamp almost, that is the attribute type. So like for the weighted dart or for your starting gear, it's just like that gray empty circle. And then if you notice on the trinket that you have in play, Tim, the fine armor splints, it has the yellow, it has like the cup icon for, the peel, and Josh has the vengeful thorns with the legs, which are the agility.
Oh, cool.
That is awesome.
Well, yeah, I'm playing some vengeful thorns, so I'm putting them on my head like Jesus.
Oh my god. Okay.
Scott, how do I get this thing to go above the card?
Yeah, if you just move it away like enough.
Ah, there we go.
There you go. You can pop it on top.
Oh, whoops. Apparently,
And
I
then
want to put the helmet back in my. There we go.
There you go. And this was at what? 2?
2, yeah.
Or yeah, okay.
Now I'm going to.
I'm gonna put this away for you.
Okay, thank you. I put an appeal out, so I can't really. Oh, I did this wrong. Oh shit.
What happened?
I was gonna sacrifice this and then get an agility, but that's okay.
Do you want to let him back up and do that?
Like,
I don't really.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Do it.
So, all right. So instead of putting that out, He's actually going to sacrifice.
Yes. And they can only be
Start using
sacrificed if
starter
they
sacrifice.
yeah, and they can only be sacrificed if they're ready, correct? So they can't be they can't be used to be blocking and use it as like a quick action to discard it.
That's correct. That's correct. So like if he blocked an attack and it broke that, he can't suddenly be like, oh, and I'm sacking it for.
Exactly.
No, it would go away. And an item has to be ready in order to like drop it or sacrifice it. So one thing that I don't think we've mentioned is that anytime, like it's Josh's turn right now, so if Josh wanted to, for whatever reason, he could take, let's say, like a weapon or armor and just drop it
Mhm.
voluntarily if he
Oh,
wants,
yeah.
like to free up a space to put something else in play, for example.
Yes. Which makes sense because it's not like, oh, I have this weapon, I I magically cannot let go of it.
Right. But that does happen when it's committed. Like you can't let go of something that's
Exactly.
committed. Or
Yes, because using the terms committed, it's being used for something.
right.
Exactly.
Yes. Oh, and then a little side info too, like when you use these items, like vials, like the vial of growth, you can target other players with that as well. So like in a 3-player game or a 2v or like a 1v1, or I mean a 2v2. You could use the vial on an ally or an opponent or whatever.
Oh,
okay.
okay.
Cool. I didn't even think of that. That's cool.
Oh, I just cracked my back. Oh, this gladiator fight.
Okay,
get
I
it.
think I'm going to pass without attacking.
Sounds
Okay.
good.
Just because I'm afraid of that giant, big stabby stab gladius sword.
Should be afraid. Be very afraid.
But I'm not that afraid.
But I'm not that afraid. All right, so I'll draw for my turn.
Okay.
What did you get? What is this? Ah,
Yeah, I
crap.
put out an armor pick. Yeah.
That's a good goddamn weapon. That's a good got him.
Yeah,
Alright.
so armor pick is kind of a fun weapon. It says when armor blocks this weapon, that armor loses 1 additional durability point. And if that happens, then this weapon also loses a durability point. So it's kind of like a tool that's getting used up to like crack through somebody's armor faster.
Yeah, it's fucking sick. Alright, so generosity. I draw 2 additional cards! Oops. So I'll go ahead and draw my 2. Pretty good.
And the way I see this is this would all be happening within some kind of like a, like a dark fantasy arena, like almost like a Roman Gothic, I guess, if you can use that
Mm-hmm.
that term. And the like the masters, the people who are forcing you to fight each other, are known as the tyrants.
I keep getting attacked by wasps and Animal
That's Megan. She's also on the stream apparently. Welcome to Giggle at Games. Giggle at Quarantine.
Help her with those wasps. Or...
No.
Yeah, she's apparently getting attacked by wasps in Animal Crossing.
Oh.
Her character's face is now swollen, apparently. Alright, so. This is going to be a big turn, Josh. You ready?
Let's do it.
Alright. I am gonna play Provocation. I'm gonna
Shit,
force you to
okay.
attack with all your weapons this turn.
Okay.
This one is coming at you first.
Okay. I'm going to.
Right. So just to kind of like give a little bit of background on this. So provocation,
Oh yes. Oh yes. Go ahead.
having Berserk 1, even Berserk 1 can be like pretty
Devastating.
significant. It can be pretty dangerous.
Mhm.
So basically Tim played this card, Provocation, gave Josh Berserk 1. So until the end of Josh's next turn, he's going to be Berserk.
Yes.
So what does that mean? That means that he must attack anytime he's able to. Now this also includes counterattacks.
Mhm.
So since Josh must respond with a counterattack with his weapons. That means he can't block with it because you can respond with a weapon, with only one weapon, to any attack, right? So Tim's making an attack. He must respond with a counterattack from his weapon, which means he can't use that weapon to block.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that's a significant part of it.
Yes. And so his
that means
weapons
Josh
won't be.
is gonna take a hit.
Yeah. Okay.
Unless he's got something fancy up his sleeve, which he might, because that deck is, has responses to
Okay.
things like this.
So I'll block with my helmet.
All right.
Counter attack with this bad boy.
Very nice.
So I take 1.
Correct.
So with that 4, I think I'm
But
gonna.
you lose 1 health.
Now,
Oh yes.
right now, yeah. So Tim loses 1 health from the Vengeful Thorns on Josh's helmet. Basically, anytime you block with that armor, your attacker loses 1 health because of the thorns. So Tim lost a health from the thorns.
Yeah. I'm gonna block with my head for that one. Break my
Sure.
armor. And then I will counterattack with this.
That I'm going to ensnare dodge.
Okay.
I'm going to not sacrifice an agility.
Snaring
just
dodge.
because-
Second.
Oh,
So this
yeah.
one is making it so that he avoids all the attack and all of its effects.
Right. So if you play a dodge, that's the only response that you get to make to that attack. Like you can't also counterattack or something.
Right.
It just basically nullifies the attack. And then there's one additional thing on this dodge, the ensnaring dodge. There's a cheaper dodge. But the ensnaring dodge, you can sacrifice 1 agility. That means like taking one of the agility cards that are in play and discarding it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you choose to do that, you can exhaust the weapon that you dodged. So what would happen in that case, let's say he did exhaust the Gladius, it would flip upside down. And then in between turns, it would go from exhausted position to just committed.
Mhm.
And then it would take another turn to refresh.
Yes.
Right.
But essentially you just use it to block or to dodge. So just
Yes.
nullify the.
And that will be my turn. I hope you don't have another one. Another turn, I mean, ever, again.
I'm going to outfit lottery.
Nice.
Okay, so outfit lottery is a favor that can be very good, and if you're very
Especially in these
unlucky, it can
times.
also be pretty sad. Right. So with outfit lottery, basically you draw the top 6 cards of your armor, you reveal them. You reveal the top 6 cards.
So if I hold down and then press 6.
Oh no, they all went in your
Oh,
hand.
whoops. Great.
So it should just be the last 6 that are in your hand.
Oh,
Okay,
that's a
so
good
there
idea.
were the 6. And then from those, you can pick up to 3 equipment, basically. So anything that's like a permanent, like a armor, trinket, weapon, you can take
Oh,
those.
damn, that's a really
Up to
bad
3.
draw.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he unfortunately only got 1. Now the rest shuffle back into the. I'll take care of that.
I feel bad for
You
you,
got it.
son.
Okay, you got it.
I got 6 from my outfit lottery, and the trinket's only 1. Boom, boom, clap. Pop, pop.
Okay.
Right.
So,
So a rough thing about that is that the trinket that Josh was able to get um, is one that has to go on armor because it specifies after the trinket where it says trinket, it'll specify what you can put it on. And it has to go on armor. Now he already has a piece of armor that has a trinket on it. And weapons and armor can only ever have one trinket on at a time unless it
okay,
specifies
that's good
otherwise.
to know.
So he can't use that right now, unfortunately. Until he can get another body, like another armor. So, so Josh basically, I mean, he's probably looking for something KG can do in his hand, which is pretty important. But then what we see on his board is, he's got Berserk, so we will have to attack with both of these weapons. Now, one thing he could do with the light dagger, because he's got to think about mitigating these counterattacks. Like he doesn't want to take big counterattacks from Tim right now, because that armor is going to break and he's going to start eating hits, which is really bad. So he could potentially use this light dagger and throw it,
Yep.
which counts as an attack. But when something is thrown, you can't be counterattacked.
Yep.
So that would be one way of playing out your attack and not getting.
Okay. Well, I'm going to throw that dagger.
Okay.
Okay.
For 4.
Yeah.
I am going to have to block it with this. So this brings it down to 1. I won't take any damage from it, but I can't respond. I know you got that thing. You gonna get a weapon?
I'll attack.
Attack with
Wait.
that.
Get a weapon.
Don't you have that, didn't you get that, technique or favor?
There's a technique that will, the concealed draw. It'll allow him to look in the deck for a weapon that he can equip and put it into play ready.
Yes.
Like he may not want to do that because he'd have to attack with it after readying it,
That's true.
which could open him up to a counterattack. But he could, you know what I mean? He could use that if he's got it.
Okay.
But after I attack, is there another phase?
Of attacking?
Yeah, like after you attack, you can still do anything you want, like main phase stuff. Like combat can be mixed up with any of the other action.
I can't attack again after that, right? If I play that card after I attack, would I have to attack with that weapon after?
You would, because it would be ready before
Okay.
you like.
Okay.
So you'd still have a ready weapon that you can use before ending your turn, and your
Gotcha.
berserk. So
Okay.
you have to use it.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah, it is. I'm gonna block with this one. So I'm gonna eat 2, and this is gonna break 2 of my durability. Or, yeah, 2 of my durability, so this will go down to 1. And I'll counterattack with 8. For 8.
Right
I
now,
will,
a special ability that Tim's armor has there, this bold Manica.
Yes, yes.
It's a strength-based armor, and a lot of strength-based armors usually have a way of increasing your attack power or something like that. So this is actually better for increasing attack, counterattack power. So it says when you counterattack while blocking this with this armor, your counterattack does 2 more damage.
Yeah.
So that's why Tim is attacking with a Gladius of 6, and it's getting +2, so it's an attack of 8.
Yeah.
Big attack. Big counterattack.
Big boy.
well, I don't want to take that, so I'm going
Not the full 8.
to dodge.
Oh, shit. Damn it. Got another one.
Yeah.
Out of
So
3.
like, so at the bottom of any card, there's a bottom center part of every card. There is a Roman numeral, and that Roman numeral tells you how many copies of that card could be in a deck.
Here, I'll do the durability
And
on
the
this for you.
usual is 3. So we've seen Josh use 2. If his deck has 3, he might have 1 more up his sleeve. But that would be the math.
Yeah.
Now he does have ways actually of cycling those too, though.
Yes.
Now I'm going to play
Nice.
draw.
Ooh, you played around my berserk turn so well.
Right. I mean, there's sometimes when people look at the numbers or they see the effects and they go, this is so one-sided. Like, how can you allow somebody to make an attack of like 13 or something? Well, it's actually possible to mitigate all or a lot of that damage, even with armor, depending on how you respond. Now that one you cannot afford to put that in play.
Oh, right.
Like that requires a more agility.
Oh, I like this thing.
Yeah, the scissor guitar is pretty good.
Yeah.
Comes into play ready. I'll take care of this card that's laying over here.
What's that?
I got it. That's the
Sure.
one that
Oh, deck. Oops.
here. I'll get it back in there. Oh, maybe you have to stop searching it. I don't know.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Oh yeah, there we go. Okay.
Okay. And now I'm going to. Oh, I can't do
Right.
that.
Right. You pretty much have to attack, but there might be attack techniques he's looking at in his hand. See if he wants to play those to bolster his attack.
No. All right. Attacking.
I don't know what's in your hand, but I think I might eat that damage. I think I'm gonna eat that damage, and
Oh, that's
I'll swing back at you. So I'll take 4. Let's see how good this strategy is gonna be. I'll swing back at you for 4.
Okay.
Another ensnaring dodge.
I'll.
That's a tough call. I mean, like you're gonna take 4. I mean, that would put you both like basically your health totals just both got lower by the same amount
Mm-hmm.
if you take it, but
Block it with my face.
Okay. Very nice.
You lose 1.
Oh yes, you're right.
oh
Shit.
right, yeah, 'cause the thorns.
All right. Well, at least I got rid of the thorns. Damn, you got.
Right, so that's kind of a scary board situation, but like I feel like you made, obviously you came out on top health wise. Yeah, okay, so at the end of somebody's turn, they count down the
Yes.
points on their dice. So Josh removed that since it was at a 1. Now, if it was at like a 2, you would essentially just count it down at the end of your turn, and then when it reaches 0, it goes out of play.
Yep.
Just recapping that.
All right. So I'm assuming that was the end of your turn, Juice.
Yes. Sorry.
I'll draw this. Oh shit. Oh, Josh, you messed up.
Oh no. No.
I'm just kidding. I will do this. So this one is a favor, an armory request. I search my library for one weapon, armor, trinket, and put it in my hand. I'm going to not reset. I will search. Man, reset is so close. I wonder if reset just like resets the whole. He's like, oh, all right, well, scoop. I'm
Put
done.
everything back in your deck.
Yeah, I'm done. This one, I know this is a really good one, so I'm not gonna even look at the other ones. So I'm gonna grab my headpiece here. So go on my discard, and this one I will put into play now.
Yeah, so it's kind of like the top level armor that deck has.
Yeah.
It's the helmet called Beloved of Nemesis.
I
So
know you
this
had
is
to
like the face.
Yeah, go for it.
That's like the face illustration of Shattered Arena is that gladiator. And it's on the big banner that we use at convention stuff. So I called it this because I read that Nemesis is like the patron goddess of gladiators. It's like a goddess of vengeance.
Oh, I get to search my library for a favor. I forgot about that.
Yeah, so this is a pretty powerful card. It requires both appeal and strength to wear.
Yep.
And so when you put it on, you can search for favor and put it into your hands. Kind of like, like a famous helmet, and everybody loves it when you come out with it on. And then so it has this ability called Gifts of Nemesis. Each time this armor loses any durability, you may draw one card.
Yes.
So it does give you a good amount of draw power.
Yeah, it's a good in terms of magic, this is a crazy plus if you count the DP and you draw cards, it's like a +4 on this thing.
Yeah, it's really good.
I will grab a favor, but since while I'm searching here, I wanted to. So looking at the favors, um, since I already played a favor this turn, I can't play the favor I'm grabbing now because it's only one per turn.
Correct.
But I'm gonna grab generosity, increase my hand size a little bit more. This one from what I played earlier, but I can't play it now.
Right.
Man, I think I'm screwed.
All right, Josh, here it comes. Well,
Yeah.
this one I'm going to
Can't-
equip this one to... actually, this one should be down to 2 because I blocked with it. Oh, no, I didn't. No, I didn't. Sorry. This one I think I'm going to equip to my... whoops. I'm going to equip to this dagger, so I have, like, an even amount of stats. And so this
Breezy,
one...
you okay?
How's Breezy doing?
She's barking in her sleep.
I miss Breezy. So I'll hit you for 5, or at least I'll try to hit you for 5.
Okay. I'm going to not eat that, and
Okay, so there are a couple of things in play here. Basically, Tim added the heavy build trinket. It's a trinket that essentially just means that, you know, that weapon is bigger and heavier.
Yep.
And it adds 1 to the attack power and 2 to the
Oh, hey.
durability of that one.
Hey, Joe.
Now,
Joe's watching.
oh, hey, Joe.
oh, cool.
And so when Josh block, like if he were to block with the scissor guitar, the scissor guitar has an ability called parry. And so this is an optional thing. After scissor guitar blocks, you may exhaust the weapon it blocked. If you do so, scissor guitar loses 1 more DP because it's already using 1 to block. And so if you sacrifice 1 durability on top of that, it would basically take this weapon and exhaust it, so it'll be more than 1 turn, you know, before it comes back.
Yeah.
But it's
Okay,
a
so
pretty
yeah.
big cost. You can see the durability of the weapon is strategically 4, so you could really only do this twice.
And then I will also commit my Gladius into an attack.
That I will eat.
Take 6.
Yeah.
All right.
And then I'll counter, but I'll accurate strike.
That one's
Ooh.
Ooh, shit. Which one are you gonna have me block with?
The arm brace.
All right. This one breaks it, and I lose 2.
Right. So what Josh just played is this technique called accurate strike. And what that allows Josh to do is he picks what armor Tim has to block with.
Yes.
So he targeted that armor that allows Tim to make powerful counterattacks and just broke it out of there. Now, unfortunately, the armor pick hasn't been super effective yet because it's just been hitting armor with 1 durability. But you could see combine with that technique, you could potentially, you know, just pick any armor that has 2 durability and just knock it out.
So even though my thing had 1 durability left, and he,
Mhm.
whenever, does the armor pick still lose the durability from his effect?
It does.
Okay.
I mean, that's how it's worded now.
Okay.
I mean,
Curious. Just curious. Whoops. Whoops.
it could be, you know, it could be changed. I mean, what do you feel about it? Do you feel like it should only lose the durability if it causes the extra point of damage?
I don't know. Well, I mean, so far, I mean, it seems as a level 3 weapon. The wording of it seems pretty good. Um,
I feel like it's probably good too, but I always like to check feedback on stuff like that too. It's just something to think about.
and apparently you can. I play the card to helicopter my Gladius. Woo! All right. That'll be my turn.
Yeah.
I'm
Okay.
making a pizza over there.
Right. Well, this is it. This is the turn that I have to come back in.
It's okay. Just draw all your fucking weapons.
Oh, damn it.
Get all your armor in.
Fuck. Well, I think I just lost. I'm gonna try to get some armor here.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty good call.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Josh is using this technique called unfair bargain, and it basically allows him to take a piece of equipment, trinket, armor, weapon,
Yeah, that's
and
pretty good.
put it back to the deck, and then pick the trinket, armor, or weapon. So he could take the same one again if he wanted to, or not. I mean, you could look at it this way too. It could give you a peek inside the deck if you really want,
That's true.
and you can always just take it back again. So it's never like, nothing's worse than you. I mean, it's your fault if you do this. But, I mean, I've done it in card games. Oh, I'm going to search it. Oh,
fuck.
there's none of them in there.
See if you can get a bunch of armor to chain into more armor and trinkets.
I wish I could.
I love looking at different armors coming in and then getting favors to get more armor, and then the armor gets has a thing to get an item.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
There can be some chains like that. Yeah. Right. So this choice is going to be pretty big. So it's totally understandable for Josh to be really kind of like,
Yeah,
in there
exactly.
looking at everything, trying to figure out what he's going to do. So it's going to be pretty consequential. Like his choice is going to be pretty consequential.
Are you okay if I search too? Maybe help you with your decision.
I don't care.
Okay, let's see.
Oh, fuck, man.
I like to
Right.
imagine, like,
So
give me
for
your
people
deck. I'll
watching,
show you something.
for people watching, they should probably be able to see this. You see the magnifying glasses on top of the deck. That just means that the deck is being searched, and Josh's magnifying glass is green and Tim is white, so you can see that they're both searching.
Yeah.
This is just to keep track of like who's looking and what, and if somebody's peeking illegally or whatever. Like if I start searching it as well, you can see now. It's a difficult choice. I mean, I might go with the why is it not previewing for me? That's weird. I might go with card number 2.
Skirmish sandals.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking too. And then
because you could also sacrifice an agility to look for techniques, to look for a technique if you use that.
Yeah, but there's only one technique that I can play.
If you sacrifice that.
Sacrifice, yeah.
That's true. That's true.
it's a tough one.
My lottery wasn't such a crappy
Yeah, those are rough.
Right, that happens. I mean, we've played the game so many times that I've seen, somebody with a relatively thin deck and armor and trinkets in there use it and pull nothing.
Wow.
And then they're just crying, But that's why there are some cards like the one that Tim used, right? That allow you to look for one thing and put it in your hand. Because that's only one, but it's a sure thing. And then outfit lottery, could get you as many as 3 things you could put in play, but it may not.
Hmm.
Now, I don't think that you guys have run into this situation, but Tim's deck also has a technique that costs 4 appeal that allows him to use a favor from anybody's discard pile.
Oh, I've definitely used that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
don't remember if that came up
The,
or not.
the
But
last
yeah,
time we played, he used it for sure.
oh
Yeah, I think I used it
So,
for outfit lottery.
right.
Well, no point on staying defensive.
Okay, so this head armor, the only thing that sucks about it in this condition is that it's sacrificial. When you block using the armor, it breaks,
Yes.
but you take no damage.
Oh, his head. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what makes that good though, the fact that it, that it breaks and you take no damage, how that differentiates from a dodge is the fact that like you're blocking so you can counter it. You know what I mean? Like if you use that helmet and it broke, you could still counterattack. Whereas if you played out a dodge, you wouldn't be able to counterattack.
I'll counterattack.
Okay. What armor? Right. Well, I will take it.
Ooh.
You don't want to block with your. Oh wait, no, it's that 1 durability. Never mind.
Now I'll counterattack.
Shablock. And break this. Oh, that's right. Oh, that's right.
Game.
Oh shit! Is that your only card in your hand?
Yeah.
Yeah, my starting hand had like all the appeals and like a strength thing, and I was like, you know what? I'll just see what happens if I just have nothing but attributes in my hand.
Oh, okay.
Because I think that was like one of the things I noticed in this game is that if you can stack your hands for attributes, as long as you don't get too screwed with high level cards, it's pretty good. Oh Jesus Christ!
Right, you can do all right, like even if you're mostly just stacked with attributes.
Yeah, exactly. I'll swing with my whoops. I don't know what button I pushed for that. I'll swing with my pewter
Okay. Well, I will block with my guitar.
and exhaust it.
Exhaust it.
Okay. Here comes your turn for everything, Josh. Yep.
Part of the cards.
Heart of the cards. Reveal it. Oh. Oh. Oh no. Oh no. Well, good game, Josh.
Tim, since you're not wearing a helmet, I'm just gonna come at you with my bare fists.
That should be a mechanic somewhere, Scott. That'd be awesome.
Oh, dude, I have 20,
Yeah, I mean, I
20
think it
health
could be
now.
kind of cool, like, because it could just be like a technique,
Yeah, right.
potentially, like an unarmed strike.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Reset. You want to play again?
Sure.
So pretty much what I'm
Okay.
gonna do is once Josh ends his turn, I'm just gonna swing at him for 11, and yeah, that's why kind of resetting the board right now.
Sure.
Scott, do you have a button to
I can
reset
just-
everything?
Yeah, I can just quickly reset it by reloading.
Go for
I'm
it.
not cleaning up.
There we go.
Did you play this deck last time, Josh?
I haven't played that deck yet.
You want to play this one?
Oh, really?
Yeah, let's switch.
Yeah.
Do you want me to switch you guys?
Yeah, let's do it.
I can handle it. Okay.
You guys free to play another one?
I'm done.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Hey, your ping's really good now, Scott.
And now that I'm not talking on the same
I guess. I don't
I'm
know
just
what
being
it
internet.
was, but it's just like uh the last couple of times we were playing with Scott, his ping was like 100 and like jumping up to the 400s and stuff and like just deep red. But now
Yeah, it was pretty
it's
bad.
good. It's good now.
Yeah, I'm just using my phone and Discord.
A little behind the curtain.
Who uses their phone to talk to people?
All right,
uh
so which
today's
places?
today's game is sponsored by Raid Shadow Legends. Uh
Don't forget to smash that like button, guys.
download the game. It's available for Android and iOS.
Oh, but I think it is important to say though that this will be available as a demo. I mean, that's part of why we're doing
Yes.
this.
Yes.
Is that this what you see here, this particular matchup between these two decks, will be available as a as a free um, DLC for Tabletop Simulator, so that you can try the game yourself. The
Maybe you can add
commercial
like the
version of the game.
I'm sorry, good.
Oh, it's okay. The commercial version of the game will have. I want it to have like 6 decks. That's what I'm thinking right now.
Mhm.
Right now, I have 5 pretty well constructed, relatively refined decks.
Mhm.
But I'd like for the starter to have 6, so that you have the ability to really like kind of do some deck building.
And so I know that some of these cards, obviously that you were talking about the Roman numeral at the bottom of the cards.
Yeah.
Would you give the maximum amount like as a side deck or something so that players can do they can do a little bit of tweaking with let's say my the speed deck that I have here and they might want to remove some things, this, that, and the other.
Right. That's kind of what I was considering. I was looking at doing, well, just considering all of the different options, really.
Mhm.
Between something like a big box with a number of pre-constructed decks,
Mhm.
um, all the way to just, shipping basically like full expansions where it's like the max count for all the cards in one box.
That's DLC. That's microtransactions. You have to buy those.
Well, that's not something that I really want to do, actually. Like, I
Yeah, I know.
want people to
I,
have.
I'm
Right.
just kidding.
Again, the main reason for that is because, like, especially at the beginning, I know that there will be like a small base of people playing.
Mhm.
And, I'm thinking about this with the physical release of the card game. When you play Magic or something like that, you have friends who are already invested in it. But I want, let's say Josh to be able to buy this as a box and then have enough cards where, he can play with Tim and other friends and things like that.
Or you're talking
Just
about like
split over.
physical cards,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
Yeah,
Booster packs
yeah,
and stuff. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I gotcha.
Right. I just want
I was
the
just talking
ability to.
I was talking about like the online version.
But like online version, yeah, because I'm not entirely sure that I even really want to monetize an online version or
Mm,
not. Like I'm
mhm.
kind of up in the air about that.
That sounds
Right
good.
now, my plan is to release like a free version of it with limited content and then try to encourage people to
I personally
buy
would
the
rather have the physical
tabletop.
Oh yeah,
Right.
of
just
course.
play face to face. Just not
Although
in this Corona panic.
exactly.
Right. And I mean, that may go on for a long time. So, my plans are kind of up in the air.
The turn sheet, by the way, Scott, went back to its original size.
Oh, yeah, I can adjust that. Need to scale that up a bit again.
Tim, it's not the size of the card that matters.
It's how you use it, and it like flops off the table. Nice. All right.
Here. Should we go any more, or is that good?
That looks good.
Tim, how many
Is
times are
good?
you shuffling? Because I want to shuffle the same amount.
25.
All right, I just did 25.
Good, good, good. All right, die roll. How about you try going first, Josh?
7.
So just
Yes.
like a small recap while we're doing this. So starting off the game with 7 cards.
Holy shit, man. I can't afford anything in my hand. What's the
Right. So any
rule
cards
on?
that you want to mulligan, like you can do like a partial mulligan. Just
Yeah.
take whatever cards you don't want and just kind of set them aside.
Mhm.
And then you can draw the same number of cards. And then when you're done, shuffle the set aside cards back into your deck. So you get to do that once. Like you don't have to draw less or anything like that, but you only get to do that one time. Wait. Yeah, just set it aside. There you go.
Okay.
And then draw 3 cards. Cool. And then
Okay.
just shuffle those back to the deck.
Oh, do you guys want to share the video from Google, by the way? Just to get 3 some people watching.
What's up?
Oh,
Do you want to share the video from the Facebook page?
I did.
yeah.
I think
Oh,
so.
you did? Okay, cool.
I haven't done that yet.
I just put in all caps, Shattered Arena! Plus it does a little ding on the stream. It says that somebody shared.
Okay.
Thank you,
Is
sir.
strength.
Sounds good.
I will. Generosity.
Hell yeah.
2.
Nice.
Mhm.
Oh, cool. Oh, damn. Those look awesome. This deck looks sweet. Okay. Bam.
Oh, sorry.
Search. I'm gonna do this file.
God damn.
To look for 2 attributes.
Search for
Yeah,
2
sometimes you can end up
attributes.
with, sometimes you can end up with a pretty decent, first turn.
Yeah, right.
So one of the kind of
Where'd that go?
concept in
Oh.
building that deck and how some of the stuff works, it has a lot of draw power. And then there's a trinket that you can attach to armor, and it says like once per turn, you can discard a card from your hand and draw one.
Yeah.
So if you think about the combination of those 2 things, if you got a whole lot of cards in your hand, you can afford to be discarding them to draw again, and it lets you move through the deck pretty quickly.
Yeah, for sure. Good, Josh?
I am good.
Draw!
So in terms of like
deck
the
is crazy.
attribute builds, for the 2 decks, if I remember right, the Gladiator deck there that Josh is playing right now, I think it's about even between strength and appeal. I think there's like 4 to 5 strength and appeal attributes in that deck. And then Tim's deck, that kind of assassin-like deck, that's I think like 6, if I remember right, like 5 or 6 agility and only 2 appeal. It's like just enough to run the low-level cards. That deck relies heavily on the agility attribute.
Yeah.
It's like mostly kind of a single color deck with a little bit of support from yellow.
All right, so I can look for a favor or an item. Okay, that's not a favor, but it has the favor picture on it.
Yeah, some of the cards have duplicated like artwork for it, just because we haven't had time to produce all of the illustrations.
Right.
So at a glance, don't be fooled at a glance. Don't just look at it and go, "Oh, I recognize that image."
Yeah.
Because it might be a duplicate. But I try to keep them mostly the same type.
I'm gonna get this, but I can't play it this turn because that Messenger Beetle is an item itself.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and all the art is by myself and my good friend Calvin Chambers. So between the 2 of us, we produce all the art.
Shout out to
Great.
Calvin. Yeah, shout out to
Yeah.
Calvin. Actually, let me take a look at one more thing.
One thing that feels pretty good is when I go to like game prototype nights at shops or different places like that where people are showing off game prototypes. They go, "Oh, this looks really finished," and I'm like, "Yeah, okay, that it looks pretty finished for a prototype game."
Mhm.
And then they're like, "Oh, so you're the designer," and I'm like, "Yeah," and then they'll ask me like who the artist is, artist, and they're like, "Oh, you're the artist and the designer." So that's not very common for
No.
the lead designer to also be an artist. And then a lot of people are like, "Oh, you must save a lot on art cost," because art does cost a lot. If you think about
Yep.
illustrations, I mean, think if you're an artist and it takes you like 4 hours on an illustration, even if you want minimum wage or about that for your work, if you put in 4 hours and we're talking it's like 12, only $12 an hour or $15 an hour,
Hmm.
you know, I mean, you're only looking at 50 or $60 for that illustration,
Hmm.
but that seems like a lot to people, like 50 or $60 for illustration. Well, yeah, but think of the time that's being spent on it.
Exactly.
And then if
Yeah.
you look at that times like 300 illustrations for a card game, and now all of a sudden that's very expensive.
Oh yeah. Go ahead, Josh.
So there are a lot of designers that go, "Oh, you
Well,
must
okay.
save a lot,
Okay.
being your own artist." And yeah, I save money being my own artist, but not time. It means that instead of you promoting the game for spending 4 hours on promotion of the game, I'm spending 4 more hours on doing one illustration. So but a lot of the illustrations took a lot more time than that. Like some of them are
Want
kind
to
of
use
basic.
another vial of growth?
Oh my God. Oh,
But that's both of them.
what did you get the two? Did you go 1 for 1 for your Violet Growths on your last one? Because I don't remember if you revealed it or not. I'm just
Oh, do you
curious.
mean did he pick one red and one yellow
Yeah,
last
Yeah.
time?
last turn. Okay,
Yeah.
you did. Okay, you're doing it in. Okay.
That's crazy. And then I'll swing.
I will block with my wrist and also swing back. Give me a second.
I will block with my helmet.
Sounds
That's
good.
so weird being on this side.
All right, so you take no damage. I take one.
You guys are kind of starting to hustle along too. You can see that you can play it much faster
But yeah.
Exactly.
once you're in the flow.
I'm
Save
sure
turn?
once I own all of the decks. Yeah, go ahead.
And I make my I'll make my weighted dart deck where I just throw weighted darts at you.
You can only have 3 of them.
Yes. Yes, you can. I'll play my own Violet Growth. And I will also go 1 for 1.
And there's a technique that also allows you to use a vial from anyone's discard.
Nice.
Share the
This
drink.
vial, like for story purpose.
What?
It's in the vial.
What's in the vial, or Scott?
Yeah. Is it like just Mountain Dew? Am I like,
Oh, what's in
amped up
there?
on this? Steroids?
Yeah, I don't know. It may be something like maybe something like
Steroids.
that.
How do those take into effect?
Put
So
this
I
drink in.
have been I've kind of gone back and forth a little bit on, like lore and things like that on this.
Ooh.
Because initially it was supposed to take place in kind of an original, like dark fantasy world,
Mhm.
where humans are just kind of thrown into the arena by these. There's a race that is maybe a little bit like high elves or something like that, and they're called the tyrants, but their societies in collapse. And they're kind of in denial about it, and they're throwing
Would
humans
be.
into duels against each other, and there's a little more like high fantasy, a little more like magic and sorcery and things like that in that world.
Oh shit, I'm out of
High
items.
elf.
And then the other idea that I had for it is that these characters are already like dead. They're like ghosts basically. And so when you're putting attributes in play, it's kind of like they're coming back to their former self. They're like growing, becoming restored in
Ooh.
order to fight each other again.
Nice. Okay.
And so they're in like like an underworld of like limitless, just unending duel after duel.
Yeah. They
Get
they have to fight for their life back. I'm gonna put. Oh, can't play that. Never mind.
Tim, just to let you know, I can see your hand. It's just the
Oh
backs of the
no.
cards, though.
Oh no.
Right.
Okay.
So yeah, like in tabletop sim, I'm sure everybody's noticed that, the cards in the opposing player's hand that just shows all the backs, obviously.
I'm gonna attack.
Hell yeah, I am.
I'm gonna block with my foots.
Gonna kick the thing off my hand. My buddy Jordan's watching too. Hey Jordan.
I'm going to what's this thing? Oh yeah, okay. I'll
It's nothing.
counter attack.
I will block with my hands.
Don't forget your one durability last thing.
Thank you.
And I will end my turn.
Sweet.
Yeah, I think with Calvin and I, we're able to usually complete games of this within about 40 minutes.
Oh nice. Okay. That's a good amount.
Yeah, right.
Just like once we're in the flow, like we know the game really well, and then
I would hope so.
right, of course. But I mean, since we're so familiar, like if a player gets familiar, they'd be able to, move through matches pretty quickly, like the 1v1s. My favorite way to play this game, though, is actually a 3-player free-for-all.
We'll do that in our next episode.
Yeah.
Hey, my buddy
Yeah.
Ben's watching too. Hey Ben.
Excited to do that.
What up, Ben? Tim,
Yes, sir.
to attack.
Your Gladius is
Right. Yeah.
committed. Gonna attack. I will blurk with this and counter. So I'm gonna take one again.
I'll block with my foots.
Sounds
I'll
good.
take one again too.
All right. I know I got new people watching, but there's some in the previous or in the last what time? That's the last hour. We were kind of going through the basics of it. So anybody watching, if you want to kind of like look at the rules, we have the rules here on the right side, and can kind of follow along. But if you really want to see like the mechanics of what me and Josh are doing, you can go to the earlier parts of the game. But we'll still do like a um, step by step.
Like a commentary, sure.
Yeah, kind of call out what we're doing.
Record, if you're just now tuning in, Josh won that first match by a landslide. And I think he's actually gonna win this one too. So just stay tuned. He happens to be a pro at any card game he picks up. So.
I'm gonna do outfit ladder. I'm gonna try my hand at this now. I'm gonna do the 6. How'd you do it last
Tim,
time?
hold on. Let me see the card real quick.
No. Where'd it go? Oh my god.
That's what I think your goddamn outfit lottery.
All right, I'm gonna draw my 6. Oh, they're all weapons. I'm just kidding.
Oh sweet. Hey Scott, how do you
Uninstall.
no
How do you uninstall?
Scott, I'm gonna uninstall this real quick. How do you pull cards off the deck without bringing them to your hand?
You can just quickly, like if you click and then quickly move, it'll just pull it.
If I want 7 of those.
Well, I don't know if there's a way to just pick up 7. There might be a shortcut that I don't know. Or any number.
That was a good lottery, Tim. Jesus.
I know, right?
So
I
right, so the way
needed
that the
that.
card works, the way that Tim's card works, the outfit lottery favor, it says reveal the top 6 cards of your armory. That's your deck.
Yes.
And then you can basically look in that selection of 6 cards for equipment, which are like permanents. It's weapons, armor, or trinkets. Trinkets are like enchantments that go onto your stuff. And then you shuffle the remaining cards back into your armory. So he had a pretty good selection of items that he could pick from.
I'm gonna throw this weighted dart at you.
And sometimes you
alright.
might get lucky with that card.
I'll block it with my feet.
Sounds good.
Okay, so Tim's using this item that's called the weighted dart. Most items are not attacks, but that one is an attack-like item. So it says it can be thrown, so you make an attack causing 3 damage, and you cannot be counterattacked. Counterattacking is a big part of the game. So the fact that you can just kind of circumvent that by having superior range, just by throwing something, you can't be counterattacked while you're throwing.
Yes. I'm
It's
gonna play
nice.
this from my hand. This comes into play tipped or committed. Shit balls. I don't like that Gladius out there. It's pretty strong. I don't like it. I'm gonna put fine. Oh, I can't even play that. Sorry.
One way that you can use the weighted dart, that card that Tim used a little bit earlier, is if you have a flurry of attacks. Let's say you can, throw a weapon, put a weapon in play in the hand that you just freed up, and refresh it all in the same turn. You can attack again. You can attack with whatever you have in the other hand, and your opponent, is tapping a bunch of cards out to block all this stuff, and then you just play the weighted dart out of your hand as an additional attack they didn't know about.
Yep.
Like that's one way that you can play it.
Josh, I'm gonna pass. Am I gonna pass? I don't want to get hit.
I think it probably makes sense for you to pass, in
Yeah.
my opinion. Like if I was playing.
Yeah, I am gonna pass. Cause Scott said it. Scott's helping me now. Oh, actually, wait, I just did that. My mind is all over the place.
You good?
Yeah.
Okay. I drew.
Yeah.
I'm gonna play this,
What is it?
which allows me to search for a piece of armor, or a weapon, or trinket.
Oh God.
This deck has a lot of draw and
Searching.
searching.
You just need the attributes for it, which you fucking had 2 vial of 2 vial of gross.
Oh, whoops.
Okay.
Then I'm going to go on to the attack.
All right, I'll block with my head for that one. I'll lose 1 and lose 1 durability, and I will counterattack with my starting also.
Okay. I will block with my face.
Yep. So you lose nothing. Yep.
And I also will counterattack.
Nice. I'm going to.
Okay, hold on. So, all right. So, let's replay that. So you attacked with the dagger,
Yes.
right? Okay. So then Tim blocked with the mask and then counterattacked with this dagger.
Yes.
Okay. So that resolves that whole chain, because basically that resolves what started with your attack. Okay, so you started with this dagger, he blocked here, counterattacked here, and that resolves that whole chain.
Mhm.
Now you could also still attack with the Gladius. It's technically not a counterattack,
Oh right, yeah.
but you may also attack with it.
Can I play armor in between attacks?
You can, and so that's what I would suggest that you do.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Sorry, I didn't know I could.
Yes, because you can take any of your turn actions in any order. This includes combat.
Okay.
The only thing you couldn't do is like, oh, we're in the middle of resolving something and you start playing things. Like, don't do that. Like we're in the middle of resolving Tim's counterattack or something. Don't start putting armor on.
Oh yeah.
Like, when that's resolved, then continue with your turn.
Hmm.
Okay, so yeah, so that helmet comes into play, and it says when this armor comes into play, you can search your armory for a favor and put it in.
Well, that's
Oh.
that sounds kind of I don't know. That's might be a mechanic you can look into, Scott. Because like, is it the head piece that's being committed, or is it the head now? Because then now he's blocking twice. If I counterattacked with his head, I don't know. If that's something
Right.
you purposely put in there, then, I don't know. That's just one thing I'm thinking about.
I think it's okay, but I get what you're saying. Since you are basically, he's able to block basically twice with the
Yeah,
head, even though it's two separate pieces of armor that he blocks with.
like if the combat phase is just this phase, and then equipping is the next techniques and items and stuff, and then that's that phase, and then there's
Right.
no other
The
combat
thing is,
phase.
right. The thing is, I feel like that will take away some of the special things you can do with equipping weapons and freeing up hands by throwing weapons and stuff.
That's true.
Like if we separate equipping into different
That's fine.
stages, I feel like
Okay.
it's okay, but I get what you're saying. Basically, he's being able to block with what he's wearing on his head twice in the same. I don't really see like a big problem with that, but
Okay.
Okay.
that's a good observation, and I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah. And if anybody in the comments wants to ask what the hell's going on, you can also say something.
Yeah,
I'm
of
not.
course.
I'm not
And I'm
going
always
to
happy to get
counterattack.
feedback because it helps me.
Going to attack. Attack.
I will block with this, and I think only this. So I'll take 2, but then I'm going to exhaust your Gladius. Exhausting. There's a parry effect on my Scissor Guitar that if I block with it, I can. My Guitar loses an an actual DP, but his weapon is now exhausted, meaning he won't be able to use it during my turn.
Right, right.
Uh,
Because anytime you block with something, it loses 1 durability point, which is
yes.
the DP. So you can optionally lose, 1 more, like sacrifice 1 to exhaust whatever weapon you parried with it.
You have to like quick tap the Q button for this because like it just spins it out of control if you like hold it too long.
Oh yeah.
Is that your turn, Josh?
Yeah, I'm done.
All right. Draw my turn. That's pretty good, but I'll think I'll use it later.
And are your angle snaps at 90 degrees?
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so Tim parried this
Oh right. Yeah,
Gladius
it comes back
last
1.
time, so
Right.
it should now be
Yeah.
at the right. It's like you can kind of think of it this way. It's almost like a ticking clock, right? So here it's ready. When you commit it, it ticks once, so it'll come back. And
Yeah.
if it's exhausted, it has to tick twice in order to be ready.
Card games, for me, it always takes a while for me to get like into the flow of things. Because I've really only played like Magic,
Yeah, right.
like Pokemon when I was like 7, and that's it.
I played the
I did.
Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
I'm throwing away to
Yu-Gi-Oh.
dart at you, Josh.
Wait, what's up?
I'm throwing away to
weighted
dart.
dart.
Yeah.
Yeah. I take it to
Yeah,
the
and
face.
you can block it in any way that you want. If you wanted to, you could block it with the dagger. But I mean, it's it's up to you.
I'll block it with the dagger. Ping.
Sounds good. All right, block all my damage. Then I am going to double, or since you have no response with the weapon, I'm just gonna swing both.
So don't forget, this also should go to 2 durability from
All
blocking.
right, gotcha. Okay, I'm going to block the Qatar with my face.
Sounds good.
Dice.
Right. So probably the best thing to
What
have
the fuck?
directed you to do. Yeah, because if you press the 1 key, it's you're drawing 1 card into your hand.
Okay.
So I think you just missed the die and it drew into your hand. So yeah, probably the best way that I should have advised you to play that out would be to like maybe eat the dart because the dart's only 3 points.
Yeah. I
Because now
usually see
you
things
block with
after the
phone.
fact, so I'm gonna. So that exhausts, or not
Right.
exhausts.
It
And then
just
I get to
taps
draw a
to
card.
Yeah.
commit.
And then
Yeah, you
then
can
you'll
draw
take
1
4.
card.
Yeah.
And then the dagger comes through and just deals 4 damage. It's nothing to block with.
All right. I think that's gonna be my turn. Yeah, that'll be my turn.
You know, and one thing that feels pretty good is that most of the time the matches seem to be pretty even in terms of health totals until the last couple of turns. And there's usually tension kind of all the way to the end. Like there's rarely a time when you go, okay, this is one-sided. I see that player's gonna.
Yeah. Oh, snap. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's one of my favorites. One of my favorite armors.
Oh, God. Oh, that's so strong.
Okay, to kind of just comment on top of what Josh is doing, he just put this Bold Mannequin in play. It's this armor, and if you were to block an attack with that and make a counterattack, it buffs his counterattack, makes it 2 points stronger. Now,
Yeah.
this is kind of counterbalanced with the fact that basically you can only ever use that like once per turn, not on your turn, right? Because you only really get one block with it per turn.
Right.
And its armor is pretty low. So yeah, you want to use it when that +2 is going to be really significant.
All right. I'm gonna use a favor.
Nice. God damn, your hand is stacked right now.
Shit. I need to draw the whole deck.
Oh, that's a crazy card. Did you draw the whole deck?
Um, going to equipping things. You can equip any number of weapons and armor during your turn. Okay.
Yeah, as long as
I
the
will
attributes
attack.
are-
Attacking with that, I am going to block with my dagger, actually.
Okay. Okay.
Ah, I see what you're doing.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, drop this.
You draw.
Okay, but you can't drop something after you've committed it though.
Oh, okay.
It has to be-
Okay.
it has to be
Okay.
ready.
Understood.
Do you want to
Got it.
roll that back? I mean, we could roll it back, and Tim will take his
Nope.
health back and stuff.
It's totally cool.
I didn't lose any
Okay.
health. Or, no, yes, I did, actually. This only blocks for one
Yeah, you
anyway.
lost 1.
I already played a trinket. I played a favor. I attacked. I'm going to attack with this.
I'll block with my guitar and legs. So I'm doing.
Ah.
So I don't think we've done this before yet, but I'm double blocking now using my weapon and armor to block this 7 points of damage. 7 because has a stab of 6, and his heavy build trinket brings the damage up to 1. And then I'm going to also exhaust it,
Okay.
which breaks my guitar.
Yeah, and that was played properly. Yeah. Your leg armor needs to. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Cool.
So your turn, Josh? Whoops.
Yeah, I did that same exact thing.
I drew it, yeah. I drew it by accident. Whoops. So your turn, Josh? Are you equipping anything else?
Very cool. No, I think I literally played
God.
everything that I could.
Damn it. Did it again. Alright. So this should be ticked 1, right?
Yes, correct.
Oh, sorry, I forgot.
You're good. I'll draw. Wow.
Hey,
Uh,
Scott, when you
Mhm.
do this Kickstarter, can you have like a godly tier that people can pay money into, and then they get their faces immortalized on cards?
I
I
mean,
would, I would love to be on
I'm
one of these
not
cards.
I'm not against that kind of a thing. I think it would be cool to allow, some kind of ideas at least, or like sort of signature from backers, to go into the game.
I'm gonna throw my dagger at you for 4.
Oh, you asshole. Okay. I'll block it with my face.
Sounds good.
You get to draw still, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Technically?
Yeah.
Each time it loses? Okay.
Correct.
This deck has so much draw potential.
I
So
know, right?
cool.
I'm gonna toss this one so I can grab a agility.
Right. So it's kind of like that deck has kind of doubled up on its draw potential with those. It only has 2 of them, but generosity lets you draw. It's like a favor that lets you draw 2 cards.
Yeah.
And the reason I mention that is because that's a type of card that you wouldn't have to like build for. You know what I mean? It doesn't have an attribute cost. So like you would
Yeah.
Let's see how well this
okay.
does.
What I like about this is we're gonna get to see what that weapon pair can do.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. I've never
And
gotten
it's a very powerful weapon pair.
So, so the weapon pair here, if I have them both out, which I do, which I got from Outfit Lottery, the 2 of them.
both
Um,
of them? Damn.
yeah.
Okay.
So I can refresh one of them. So I'll refresh Buteo. You know what? Yeah, Buteo, this one.
Okay.
And then I will.
Yeah. So just to point something out real quick. So Buteo and Aquila are basically the same. Except the green text is just written on Aquila. That's the text that is active when you have a pair, like when you have the set out. So it says set ability once per turn. You may refresh either Aquila or Buteo if you have both of them equipped.
Yeah.
So the way that I chose to do that, mechanically, is just to put the text for the set on one card. So you're not going, oh, do both of these have that ability and you can refresh both of them? No, it's just the one.
Yeah.
You can
Makes
just
sense.
refresh, you can use that ability once.
I think your helmet's committed, by the way.
Yeah, the helmet should be committed.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Oops. Fucking hell.
And I'll swing.
I will block with my arm brace.
Yeah.
I'll counterattack.
I'll block with this. I'll
Right.
take 3, and I think you take 2.
Yeah, the that attack is buffed by 2 because of the armor.
Yeah.
It's a 6-point.
This
attack.
should go down. And I think that will be my turn, yes. Oops.
mess going over here.
I went to a convention
Ah.
in Tampa at the end of last year with my friend Joe, and he and I played a number of 3-player games into the wee hours with people at that convention. That were pretty
The wee-
amazing.
The wee hours.
Oh yeah, I mean, we're playing. It's like 3 a.m. or something in the, in the in the lobby.
Nice. It's like 3-hour games.
Yeah, sometimes the games it can be pretty long with a 3-player game. I mean, we had some decks involved that are good in long game too.
Hmm.
So, like Endurance, the blue deck, that can heal sometimes, and it has very high defense, and it usually only makes 1 attack per turn, which
Yeah.
means that it's only ever open to a counter attack once.
I'm
So
gonna drop
Yeah.
this.
lasts for a while. Okay.
I'm gonna play another Gladius.
Hell yeah. Dual Blade Gladius. Awesome. I love
I'm
I
going
love
to-
the vision. I love the vision of somebody playing 2 Gladiuses. Oh my god.
Dual
And
dual
they're both
trinkets.
heavy.
Oh my god.
So that was
Should be committed.
an armor, a trinket. I'm going to.
Right, I'm gonna.
Oh, thank you.
It just came in play. Can you get this? Like, are you holding this card? You can see which one I'm indicating, Josh, right? Are you holding on to this, like the second card in your hand in reading order? Are you holding
wait,
on to
hold
that?
Wait,
For
what can you? What'd you point at?
the second card in your hand in reading order.
Yeah,
You see it, right?
Yeah. Can't play that though, right?
Are you holding that for any particular? Well, you could get it onto like your arms or your head even.
I already played one.
Oh, right. But that's something that you should probably get into play.
Yeah, probably.
And if anybody's wondering, like, I can of course see all the cards since I'm like GM position for this game,
Cheater.
so I can look at both players' hand.
I'm going to
What's up?
So kind
Going
of
to-
some.
pass.
Pass. Okay.
All right.
Sounds good.
I'm excited seeing what's in both of your hands. Like, there's a lot of stuff can happen on both sides.
Yeah.
That knife pair is really powerful.
Yes, it is. I'm going Aquila first.
I will block with my arm.
Yes. So you lose 2.
I will counterattack with
Right. So base damage on that is 7, and then you're counterattacking off of that. Oh, and this too. Okay, so this is a technique that will increase the attack power by 3. So in total, we have base 6, +1 from the heavy build, +2 from using Bold Manica, and then +3 more from brutal power.
Ouch.
Oh, you want to dodge it.
So it's an attack of like 12.
Ouch. 7,
Just do
8,
nothing.
9,
Just do nothing and then again.
12. Yeah. Just do nothing. The
Just
stream's
don't
going
do
on for too
nothing,
long
yeah.
anyway. I am
So
going
this,
to actually, yeah,
this
I
is
will
a 12
ensnaring dodge
damage
it.
attack.
Right.
Right.
And also, I'll exhaust it.
Right. So that technique that Tim played just allows him to basically nullify the attack. And then one optional effect of it says that you can sacrifice one of your agility attributes to exhaust that. So it'll take more than a turn for it to come back.
So I'll refresh Aquila, and then I'll attack again with it.
Ooh. Oh, once per turn. Okay. I will. Shit. Take it.
Ooh. Ooh! What? 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 What?
I'm a little surprised at this move, but
What's up?
Kind of scared with if you have another technique, an attack technique.
so Tim's going to have one attack after this one is resolved.
Yeah, let's do it. Another 4.
So was that it? Was that all your response was basically just to take that attack, or are you going to do anything else with it?
I will.
Cross counter. Oh, is this only during my turn, by the way? This refreshment?
Yes.
Okay.
Want to counterattack because I'll have a chance of losing both. Oh, you know what? I won't counterattack.
All right.
Sure.
I will try for 4.
Okay, I will block with my face.
Yep. You're gonna draw a card, and what's your response with your weapon?
You could also have just blocked. Well, yeah, but now you could. There's no reason not to counterattack at this point, though.
Yeah.
And that's probably what we were trying to set up.
Yeah.
I'll block with my legs. I'll break them.
Okay.
My legs are broken. Ah! I'll take 3. So I'm down to 7.
I think you take 4.
Oh yeah, you're right. I forgot that it had an extra 1.
Even after that. Yeah.
Pretty much even. All right. So.
Right. And so Josh, was definitely trying to play that out so that he wouldn't have 2 exhausted weapons on the next turn, which is a good move because, like, you can imagine getting both of your weapons parried, and then it goes over, especially if it goes over to, to Tim's turn, and then he attacks twice and refreshes one, attacks again while both your weapons are tied up. It's, that's a flurry you don't want to be on the receiving end of.
No.
And that was kind of always my intent with that deck. It took a long time to get it where it is. That deck really went through a lot of different incarnations, and some of them were not great.
That will be my turn, Josh.
Right.
Right, and this guy is.
Oh yeah, thank you. I always forget that.
Whoops.
Okay, how do I want to do this?
Whew. This is intense. I'm nervous.
I know.
I know.
You have a stacked hand, and I do not.
Okay.
I think you
Right,
have
but I would
all
say
of.
like the board advantage is yours. Like Josh has like a better hand, you have a better board, and you have the same health. Like
I
who
know.
knows?
I know.
I'm going to play this.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Allows me to search for a weapon or armor.
Oh, nice.
I need some armor.
That's a good fucking top deck. Was it a top deck?
No, I had that one. I just couldn't play it last turn.
Holding out on me.
Okay. I'll take this.
Nice. Beltis.
Play it.
Nice.
Search my armory for a favor.
Yes.
Since I'm already in here.
Right. So the Balthus is a relatively inexpensive. It only has two, only costs two, but they're split. Like it's basically four, strength and agility builds,
Whoops.
Did not mean to flip both of them.
or strength and appeal builds.
What's this favor? Oh my god.
Recycle kit.
That's so good. Oh, that's so good.
So
Okay.
one thing that can be really ridiculous is if you play that one turn to move, three things into the deck and then play armory request next turn and just be like, I want that back.
Oh,
Okay,
so
so
it gains 2, so 3.
right. So Josh just applied the armor splints, which gives that two more durability and
Nice.
increases the block by 1.
Oh,
So now we'll block 3.
very nice.
Now again, when I go around to different game shops and stuff, I usually bring different colored dice. Like sometimes it's cool to keep track of things like this. It doesn't matter too much, but like I could put a different color die on that to represent the new block value, for example. So it'd still be like 3 durability, 4 block or something. But you can keep track of that however you like, but some folks like that.
Oh, wait, hold on. Did I have... Alright, this is probably really boring, but I just need
That's
to
fine.
see if there's any other...
Sure.
You want to play my outfit lottery?
Yeah, I do.
Go for it. I'll probably, I don't know, get you a bunch of
Hold
armor.
on. I'm trying to think if that's what I actually want to do.
It's probably your best bet. You can equip more than one armor.
Right. Right. So, I mean, I think we kind of all know what Josh is considering if he's looking through the discards. He has a technique that will allow him to play a favor from anybody's discard. So he's probably thinking about whether he's going to use his own or yours or what exactly.
Ooh.
And that's like a higher appeal cost. You basically have to be, invested to some extent with appeal in order to be able to do a technique.
Yeah, I'll play that the lottery.
Yeah. It's your best bet.
So is it the top 6?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. And it makes sense that he'd be able to do that, right? Since that's a technique and it says use the effect of a favor from anybody's discard pile.
Nuts, plumes is good.
Because he did play a favor earlier. So this is a technique that
Just take one. I don't want to take all of them. There we go.
I know.
And those are the three,
Nice.
right? Because Outfit Lottery, what it lets you do, it lets you look at the top 6 cards. Like for people who are maybe watching, Outfit Lottery lets you look at the top 6 cards of your deck and take up to 3 cards that are weapons, armor, or trinkets from there, basically equipment, and put it into your hand. Ooh,
Nice.
that's a big turn. Look at that turn.
That's a good turn.
Be okay. Weapon exhausted. To attack.
For 7?
7.
Right?
Yep.
All right. I will block with Buteo and exhaust it.
Now, did you didn't parry one of Josh's?
Not yet.
Oh, when you parried last time,
I didn't parry.
it wasn't a parry. It was from your dodge, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to keep track of the durability in case it was meant.
Very good.
I remember you use the dodge to exhaust his weapon.
All right, so this one goes down to 5. I'm sorry, no, not 5. It's 4.
Right, because it's buffed by the same trinket that Josh has on his arm gear.
Yep.
Right.
So it
I
blocks 1.2.
think that's good.
All right, sounds good. All right, big draw. Come on. Not that great. Actually, it's not too bad. Okay. That's actually not that bad. All right, so I will play this agility right now. And what I will do, I will attack with Buteo right now. And
Okay.
play Accurate Strike.
Huh.
So that way I'm going to choose your weakest armor to block me, your champion
Okay.
belt, Baltus.
Okay. I'm at 5.
All right, and then what I'll do is I will also refresh it again.
Okay.
And I'm scared if you're going to hit me again for 12, because that was nuts. Okay. I'm going to play Encore Performance. So, discard pile for 3 techniques. Shuffle them into my library.
Okay.
I think I only have 2. Accurate Strike, I believe I only have 2. Yeah. Yep. So I will go ahead and put these back in my deck. And then I'm going to use my Skirmish Sandals ability. Sack and Agility. Search for technique. I'm going to get my Ensnaring Dodge back.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll put that back here. And then I'm going to swing again back with my Buteo.
Okay. I will block.
Yep, so no
Fist.
damage. Yeah, no damage to you.
Then I'll counterattack.
For how much?
9.
9.
6, 7, 8, 9.
Okay. It's a lot of fucking damage. I will block and parry again with both these. So these will go down back. So we do 2.
That
should go down.
exhausts this guy, right? Parry?
Yeah,
on
yeah.
this one? Yeah.
And that will be my turn. Oops.
Yeah.
I shuffled. I shuffled the 1 card. Oh my god, you got all of your attributes on.
Okay. Tim, I am going to.
I think your belt has lost the durability.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
Hmm?
So since it's committed, I can't drop it, right?
No, sorry, I lost your voices until just now for some reason.
Oh, that's
I
right.
was trying to get it back. So okay, so I missed the last couple of things that
Reason?
happened. Sorry, do you have a question or you want to recap?
If it's committed, you can't drop it.
That's correct. Yeah, I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, you guys were muted.
Oof.
Okay.
I need a dope ass top deck.
I will, cycled gifts.
Yep. This one, he gets to
Cool.
search his library, puts his armor, weapons, and trinket back, puts it into his library. Yep. That's a good one. Blocks for a lot.
Weapons, armor, or trinkets. Is that
So I have
lose
this
that
one deck.
trinket, or that was last game?
I have this one deck that needs a lot of work,
I can search up to 3.
but the concept is pretty cool. It's kind of like this weird, like Lovecraftian occultist type character.
Yeah.
Whoever has a
And,
better chance of giving me a helmet.
and it has some cards that are considered to be living.
Ooh, that's cool.
So there's like a living weapon that's like this elder horror or whatever that's called.
Hmm?
Tim,
Yes, sir. What?
I'm going to.
What?
I'm
This
gonna
is
attack.
For 7?
Yeah. Okay, alright, sweet.
Good game.
Yeah, good game.
I will block with my legs only. I believe.
Yeah.
And I think. So I'll take. How much is this? 5, and you're hitting me for 7? I'll take 2,
Yeah.
so I'll be down to 4. And I'll counterattack you.
Okay. I'll block it with my foots.
Sounds good? I need some armor. I need some armor. Alright. Hey, Joe
right.
liked
So
the
things
shirt.
that you'll notice just in terms of like the pattern of gameplay, it's like if you don't have any armor, you usually aren't counterattacking because you really need to be blocking with the weapons.
Yeah.
So, in order to have like a strong counterattack game, you need armor.
Son of a gun. Okay, let's see.
Now that cultist deck that I was talking about, it has a follower. So there's like a card that you can play that's a tragic follower.
Yeah.
And any cards that cost
Oh,
you
Scott there?
like
Yeah, Scott's talking.
any cards that
I don't
allow
hear
you
him.
to. Oh, really? You don't hear me?
1 second, let's see. Hello?
Yeah,
Scott?
I can hear you.
Josh, can you hear Scott?
Oh, I can't hear him at all. I can only hear you.
Did you go into Discord real fast and see if maybe his volume might be turned all the way down or muted?
Okay. Oh,
That's weird.
Yeah, it was weird earlier. You guys were both suddenly muted, so I just hung up and came back. It looks like that's what he's doing.
Yeah.
So that like Lovecraftian deck thing, it has a follower, and
there we go. I can hear him
anytime
now.
All right, good.
cool. Anytime you would sacrifice health, you can have the follower sacrifice health instead.
Can I see what? Do you have any other vials in your thing?
My
Josh?
files in my what?
In your grave? It won't let me search because I think you're still searching.
Oh yeah, I'm still searching. Sorry.
Oh,
Okay.
still won't let me search. That's
Hold
weird.
on, let me try searching and then backing out again because I had to. Oh, it won't let me search either.
Scott, we can't search anymore. I mean, I think you just have violet growths anyway. I'm
There
gonna
we go.
use.
Now try searching. I don't think I put the top card on all the way.
Oh yeah, that's what was going on.
Oh, sure, that would do it.
All right, yeah, just violet growths. Yeah, I'll play your violet growth because I want the backwash.
The what?
The backwash.
Gross.
Yeah, I don't have any other. There's no more. All right, that one is a piece of shit. That didn't work. Yeah, I'm pretty low in health. This is not gonna be good. I'm gonna swing at you.
Okay. I will block with my foots.
Mhm.
And I will.
I'm assuming the timing for this once per turn refresh. I can't do it like in the middle, right? Scott.
Actually, I'm not going to counterattack.
How do you mean?
So like if I attack and he counterattacks me and I use Buteo to counter or to try to parry, I can't like refresh this back since they're still both on the board, right?
Right.
Yeah.
You can refresh it, like if you're not in the middle of resolving.
Okay. All right. Well, if you're not counterattacking, I'm gonna put this back up. Let me see. I don't know. I'm gonna drop Buteo or Aquila then.
No.
Yes. And I'll try Concealed Draw, see if there's anything in my deck that might help me. Yeah, it doesn't look like I have anything.
Yeah, and I'm not sure that there would be anything that would be an upgrade from that. Like it's better to probably keep the pair.
Yeah, probably for
But
the DP. You didn't
yeah, for the
counterattack.
DP for sure, because you could then exhaust once with it.
Yeah.
Probably need to go out soon, don't you? Can you? Pretty please.
No, I mean,
I'm sorry.
you're relatively safe to attack, probably.
Okay.
I mean, just with what's on the board, like if you were to attack, let's say with that Buteo, and then he counterattacks you, you can still block with the Qatar and the.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I'll do that. Buteo's coming at you.
But it also depends on how he responds. Like we
Right.
can't know exactly,
I
except just the
will.
work and the board.
Mm.
I'll block with my butt. Whoops! Damn it.
Let's see if there's any Is there anything? That's not too bad. I can't play anything though.
Are you gonna counterattack or no? Just leave it at that.
I'm gonna leave it at that.
Really? Okay.
Afraid of that that exhaust.
Um, that'll be my turn.
Crap. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh man.
We only had 7 cards left. Hey Joe, if you're watching this for
So-
you.
When that comes into play, then you can search for a favor. I don't know if there are any.
Yeah, I don't know. I pretty much used every favor in my deck. um, but I am going to Berserk Tim.
Oh,
Oh, hey, Amanda's watching too. Hey Amanda. I
hello.
think we went to school
Now
with. We went to school
I
with her.
will attack.
All right. For 7, I'll block with this. I'll take 2, right? Yeah. So this will be at 2. I'll have to counterattack with this bad boy.
I'll block with my arm.
Yep.
I'll counterattack with this guy.
On snaring dodge and exhaust it.
Nice.
That's basically the best thing you could do. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Man, you made it through. Made it out the other side of that turn.
This thing does not have a lot of draw power.
I'll play this technique.
Or trinket.
Trinket. Yeah, sorry. I was reading the card as I was putting it down.
Right, so that's the one where once per turn you can discard 1 card from your hand and draw 1.
I'm gonna discard this thing since I don't need that anymore.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm done.
Sounds good. All right, let's see. Come on, baby.
Oh, did I drop this thing down 1
What is it at now?
at 2?
I think
Was
you
it
did.
at 3?
Yeah, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're good.
I think that's right.
Butea coming at you.
Block with my face.
Yep.
So much fucking draw potential.
I know.
Okay, I won't counterattack.
Okay. That's my turn.
Do you have to attack with the other one?
Oh yeah, I do. Oh, you're right. I'm berserk. Yeah.
Right.
I think
So,
that's game then.
right, for anybody new, basically, Josh applied that berserk condition that made Tim have to attack. So if you have to attack with this, right? Okay, so then Josh, on a counterattack, it would be what, 7? Yeah, so 7. Yeah, no matter how you slice it, it's going to be like 3 damage.
No, it's gonna be 4 coming through because I've been taking 2. So I lost.
That in my hand is super stacked because I was gonna berserker you again next turn if you survived, and then just double attack with triple power or +3 power.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. That deck has a lot of searching now. It's a lot of searching and then drawing. I mean, it doesn't help that I have no, I don't have anything in here that helps me with my hand besides like, what was this? What was the one turn that helped me? I think I like searched through to grab a nice old vial or something.
Right. Right, because you have utility chain that lets you put 2 items in your hand. Like that's the trinket that you have.
Yeah.
One of them could be the messenger beetle. Messenger beetle lets you search for a an item or favor. You have that outfit lottery.
Yeah, Buteo and Aquila is just kind of it's a cool concept, but having the same stats as a starter is kind of uh I mean, I wasn't able to do any damage with them. So,
Sure, but being able to perform the extra attack is really where it can come in,
oh yeah.
you know,
Oh yeah.
to play.
I just
It
don't think
could
I
be
got any
that
of my armor.
Buteo, like it could be that Buteo and Aquila, like what if
I have no other
the
armor in here.
durability?
There's no I'm looking through my deck, I have 2 other armors I could have drawn. Yeah.
Yeah, so what if on Buteo and Aquila, if they had one more durability,
Maybe.
so that they could each parry twice?
No, I mean I just think I didn't get a good amount of cards to draw. Nothing that could help me chain into other chains. I think that was just my it was bad luck on my part.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because
Doesn't
there are
help
some
that I
different
drew
chains.
my entire deck.
Yeah. I
Right,
mean,
it kind of went off the way that it can maximally go off for Josh. And
yeah.
there are a lot of ways that things can chain for that orange deck. I'm not saying that it's, got everything that it could possibly have. I mean, there could be maybe some better like draw or chain tweaks that can happen.
No, I mean,
Um,
I think yeah, I think it's just we were both chaining pretty early, but his chain just got a lot stronger than mine, and
sure.
my subsequent draws just didn't get me anything else besides
And
I mean, outfit
the
lottery.
game did
It's pretty
end.
lucky.
The game did end with him only having 4 health in the knee.
Exactly.
It was pretty close.
Yes.
So
I was honestly worried that you were gonna get that Van Brace that trickles my
oh
health
yeah,
down.
yeah,
Yeah.
the Thorn Vambrace is pretty rough. That one time, that one time I had 1 health
Yeah.
and I was fighting against Tim, and he had the Thorn Vambrace. So like, no matter what, like, unless I kill him with a single hit,
Were
he
you
was gonna
was it
block with that and finish me out.
was it that game with you, Josh, where I had the Van Brace, but I also equipped it with the trinket that upped its
Yeah,
durability, I think, and made it do that nastiness.
yeah. There's 2 different ones you could do. You could stack on
I don't think I played against you with that deck before.
No, this isn't up
like
durability.
you could have it with the fine armor splints, the ones in play.
Yeah.
So like, combine with either of those trinkets is pretty good.
I think next time if I play this deck, I'm gonna go straight for Thorn Van Brace. I think that was like it's saving. I think this is it's like focus card. Because if you think about it, 4 DP and they lose health. That's 4 health that they're going to be losing
Right.
in total. If I have Vengeful Thorns, it's 8.
Correct.
Or with Fine Armor Splints, it's 6.
You can also do this. You could also put both of these trinkets onto this because this can hold 2.
Yep.
So you can have try not to grab both of them at the same time.
I know. It's so hard.
You can see if you stacked all that, that's kind of interesting too. So then now it's a block of 5 and a durability of 4.
Yeah, but then what is the theme of this deck going to be? Just bleed out your opponent slowly.
I mean, you can have some of that going on while you're making your flurry of attack.
Yeah, right. Yeah, if Thorn Van Brace is fucking crazy. Well, good game, Josh.
good game.
Cool.
This is,
Thank you. Thanks
awesome.
for
I'm excited. What the
thanks for
hell was
featuring
that?
me.
I like right click the
How'd you
deck
do
and
that?
I clicked reset.
Hold on.
I could just do this. So.
There you go. Hey, what's this card?
Whoa.
Or what did I do last time? I think I drew 10. And then I just took it and threw it.
And you can roll a bunch of dice at once too. Like if you just highlight a ton of them and then hit R.
So Scott, while we're fucking around, why don't you like talk a little bit more about your game and what you're hoping for in the future?
Sure. So again, like, with the current situation going on, it could change things, but the plan is really to the plan was really to get the physical card game out there and get a crowdfunding campaign.
Oh god, my game's chugging now.
Yeah, it's like too many objects.
Just drew 999 dice, so this might blow this game up.
Sorry, Scott, go ahead.
That wasn't 900.
No, it limits what you can select all at once. But yeah, you can get to the point where there's just too much stuff. But yeah, so the idea was to eventually, run a Kickstarter campaign for physical copies of the game. That may still happen. It might just be a delay because of the situation going on right now with quarantine and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I did plan on being at Gen Con again this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not entirely sure at this point whether Gen Con is going to go on or not. Nobody has explicitly said that it's not. So it's kind of up in the air. But yeah, no,
My hand, stop.
so there, like I said before, there are like 5 different attributes: strength, endurance, appeal, arcane, just like a magic ability, and then agility.
Mhm.
And there are a number of pre-constructed decks. I have a bunch of them here at the house that are basically they're not very refined, but I have maybe about 12 different builds going on. But 6 of them are pretty good and fairly refined. So eventually I'd like to release a commercial version that would have a number of pre-constructed decks, possibly whole expansions that would be that you'd be able to purchase, and then you can construct original fighters and customize and things like that.
That'd be awesome. Being able to. Do you have a system set up so that people can just put in, like, let's say, because we only seen 3 attributes really, just appeal,
Right.
strength, and agility. What are the
Correct.
other ones?
Endurance,
Mhm.
and arcane.
Ooh, okay.
So endurance is mostly based on.
That's the one I'm most excited to play. Is Arcane.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so Arcane has a lot of. Well, okay. Well, I'm going to show you right now. I have these objects. There's some things that are a little bit broken about this, but there's Arcane deck right there.
Oh, can you refresh it then so that the game's not chugging? We can take a look at some of these new cards.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Let me draw out 999 dice real quick.
Get the fuck out of here, Josh.
So there are a couple of things that, like I simplified a couple of cards in this green deck, which is Arcane. Arcane is the color, or green is the color for Arcane. And
awesome.
in simplifying a couple of the cards, I think I broke a few things, so it definitely needs to be tweaked before it's played. But
Cage, that's fucking badass.
yeah,
like
so it's starting cards. It has like this kind of like a cage helmet. It's got this like a stone lamellar kind of like a body armor thing that it starts out with. The Ancient Rod, which is a starting weapon, is pretty weak with the strike of 3,
Mhm.
has a good block. But it also has, and it has had the starter sacrifice before that was a thing. So Ancient Rod is the first card to have any kind of starter sacrifice. It says you can discard it to search your armory for an arcane attribute and put it in your hand.
Mhm.
So it has to be specifically arcane attribute that you search, if that one's thrown out. Now the deck in general, its theme, it has a lot of cards that are, what's the best way to look at it? Like just searching like that, Tim? Or I
Yeah,
can flip it over.
Uh,
So,
Draw it. Put it out here. I
maybe
want
just,
to see.
yeah, go
maybe
ahead,
just
draw it.
searching is okay.
Yeah, I was just
Oh, I took
searching.
a picture too. Never mind.
Okay. So,
Yeah, go ahead and
yeah,
I'll search it, and you just go ahead and tell me what card to highlight.
sure. So, it has some interesting cards like, basically number 6, which is this shield that,
That fucking whip. Holy shit.
yeah, the whip is pretty intense. So some cards have reach. Reach is like a range-based thing. If you counterattack, like you can't counterattack something that has reach unless you also have reach, basically. Like think about it in terms of like a range.
Dude,
So
this
it's
deck
long,
is sick.
and then
I mean, just looking at new
in-
artwork.
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So some of the cards in here are populated by a larger illustration that I made of this character, and then I kind of just zoomed into certain parts of it.
One
And then
damage
other
is
parts are,
unblockable.
yeah, there's some unblockable damage in this deck. So yeah, but this shield is kind of cool because when you block with it, you can sacrifice an arcane basically to exhaust both the shield and the weapon that you blocked, which is entangling. Obviously, entangling something isn't as good as parrying it because when you parry it, the opponent's weapon becomes exhausted and yours doesn't. So this one will entangle both. It basically slows both of them down, but the bonus is that it gives them fear 1 when this happens. And so the way I look at it is thematically, like the shield comes alive and bites their weapon. So
Yeah.
that's why it causes fear and it entangles their weapon. So when you have fear, you can't initiate attack.
Wait, what?
So like,
oh wow.
Right. So let's say it's Josh's turn and he's playing that assassin deck you guys just used, and he can like use Aquila and Buteo, and he might even have, additional attacks like the like the weighted dart in his hand and stuff. He's gonna load up on you. So the first attack that he makes, you want to block with this and then cause him fear because then he can't initiate any more attacks that turn.
Arcane sacrifice.
So it would just like shut it down. Shut him down that turn. Yeah, Arcane Sacrifice. What number card is that? Getting
25.
to it.
25.
Okay, so Arcane Sacrifice. There have been different incarnations of this card. And I kind of like it as it is. So you could sacrifice 1 to 4 of your arcane attributes to cause a fighter to lose 1 health for each card you sacrifice. So you could just straight up cause 4 health. There's no like response to it or anything. It's just like a lost health. It comes at a really big cost to you, of course, because it's 4 attributes, but it could be a game-ending thing if you're ahead.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Tim, if you had this last game, you could just be like, oh, you're 4 health? Yeah, that's gone, and just end the game.
Yeah.
And you can only have 1 of these in your deck. The card count is 1. Now, there are ways of cycling them. So you could potentially pull it back into play, but you have to build up attributes again in order to sacrifice them or to sack them. The defensive cards in this deck all require endurance, and there's only 2 endurance in the whole deck. It's just enough to run them. So if you were going to search for attributes in this deck, you probably want to search those 2. So you have them, and you can run all your defense-based cards.
Yeah, for sure.
There's a lot of burn
Um,
stuff in this.
I know.
yes.
This deck looks awesome.
Yeah.
And so there's well, we could get that into a game when we play a 3-player game or something.
Yes,
You know.
please.
Yeah, let's do it.
And then so Darkness Javelin, this is kind of like the standard like magic missile type attack.
Mhm.
It just causes it's an attack of 3 that can't be counterattacked, but 1 damage can't be blocked.
Wait, where's that one at?
It's 22, 23, and 24. There's 3 of them in here. It's like the max
Oh,
count for
Darkness
that.
Javelin. Okay.
Yeah. Now there's an interesting one, Black Beacon. It might sound complex at first, but it's not, and you can do some interesting things with it. So Black Beacon says you can search your armory and that's number 21. Black Beacon, search your armory and discard pile for a number of arcane attributes equal to the number of fighters with arcane attributes in play. So if you're like the only guy with arcane, you can only search for 1.
Yeah.
But it can come from your discard or your deck. And then it says put 1 into play and the rest in your hand.
Oh man.
So like you can potentially, play an arcane, use Black Beacon technique, get an arcane, play that too, so you can get ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Now, look at number 12 and 13. Those are also Mana Surge. That is an item, it's a vial. And when you put it on, when you play it, it adds onto your attributes as 1 arcane.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the turn, it goes away.
Yeah.
So you could use that to also temporarily get an arcane. But remember also that vials can target anybody.
Mhm.
Oh,
So let's say
okay.
let's say you throw that on your opponent, give them 1 green for a turn. Then use Black Beacon, because Black Beacon lets you search for an arcane for each fighter who has an arcane.
Yeah.
And then you make it more permanent instead of being a temporary thing.
Yep.
Now that can also be pretty cool in a 3-player game. Let's say there's 2 players with arcane and 1 that doesn't. Then you throw the vial on the one who doesn't, and you're drawing 3
Yeah.
and putting them in your hand and stuff.
That is sick. This is like my deck. That's like this is like all the stuff that I like about this game right here.
I think a lot
And then
of
some of the
there's a
weird
lot
The
of
idea
stuff.
of arcane is to me.
Yeah.
The idea of
And-
arcane in this world is pretty cool.
Well, thank you. And then, okay, so there's like Tempestuous Corselet, which I totally broke. And I think this is an interesting card. And it just needs to go back to its previous art incarnation. So
What
the
is it?
Tempestuous Corselet, it's number 15. So this has
yeah.
the ability to sacrifice durability points to cause direct damage to any fighter that you're entangled with, which means that you have a card that hasn't refreshed and they have a card that hasn't refreshed after entangle. So basically if you still have cards that are not refreshed after using an entangle power, you can damage them based on durability. Now I tried to simplify this and just made it like 1 durability point per damage, but there's a problem with that and it makes it kind of broken. You can use this other
Eternal Seal.
you can use
Eternal Seal.
Eternal Seal, which is right next to it.
Yep.
So when this weapon or armor is broken, you can put it in your hand instead of the discard and remove Eternal Seal from the game. So if you had that, Tempestuous Corselet the way it is now, you could do 4, recover it if it had Eternal Seal, and then do another 4, which is like ridiculous. So the way that Tempestuous Corselet used to work is every time you gain a point of arcane, you put a token on Tempestuous Corselet.
Oh, okay.
And then that's its charge up for damage. So like when you then damage an opponent who's tangled with you, you use up all the tokens to damage them. And it also costs durability from the armor as well.
Okay.
I think that's a good one.
So then you could potentially, so it has been comboed in games before with Eternal Seal, so then you can get it back, but of course it needs to charge up again, which I think is totally fair.
And it makes sense, like, thematically.
Right, exactly. So this deck it's
Wow.
pretty cool like that. It has a number of different ways of causing direct damage. Let's look at another one. Do you want to analyze a couple of decks?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, cool. Okay, so let's get out. I mean, this one is maybe a little less exciting, but there's some kind of cool things going on with it.
The backs of these cards, when they're printed, aren't going to be different colors, are they?
No, they're not. It's easier for when we play. So my actual printed prototypes of this game, of course, all have different color sleeves, so it's easy to separate the decks and stuff.
Yeah.
So I just did the same thing here since, why not? But no, they would have obviously the same color so that you could, mix them all. So this deck is pretty cool. It's a strength and endurance based decks, mostly endurance and then 3 points of strength. That's enough to use
Kudos to
attack
Calvin.
power.
His art style is awesome.
What's that?
Actually, Calvin's art style actually like complements. You guys complement each other really well.
Yeah, we were trying, and this is one of the first decks that we were working on. So you can see card 2 and 3 are kind of like,
Yeah.
2 is his art and 3 is mine, and we made both of those illustrations at about the same time and try to
Yeah.
kind of
Looks great.
keep it somewhat, somewhat similar.
Holy shit, that spear. Oh man.
Which one? The ox
Which
tongue?
one, the Ziston Spear?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ziston Spear is pretty strong. It's a two-handed weapon, though.
Yeah.
So,
Right.
so
Right.
that's
take
part
up
of its
both slots.
plan.
Yeah.
Right. However, the thing that sort of deliberately breaks this deck that makes it really crazy
Huh?
is number 9, which is the Unflinching Hoplon.
Oh my
So
god.
this is the highest cost. That's the highest cost item, basically, that there is, the highest cost weapon that there is, which, obviously it requires 3 endurance and 2 strength in order to use it. And I think statistically, I could probably reduce the stats a little bit. Like there's certain tweaks that are kind of still in the works. I was thinking of reducing the durability to 5 and the block to 8.
Jesus. Block of
still,
10.
No.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, so
nuts.
you can basically shut down an attack with it without needing your armor, pretty much. So and a strong one too at that. So the main thing that makes it really bonkers is spear support, which says you can use a two-handed spear while the shield is equipped.
Yeah.
Wow.
So then the combo here is really this. Like all the weapons are spears.
Mhm.
And they're pretty much all two-handed spears. So this goes with just about anything. And when you attack, it opens you up to a counterattack. And if you're only making one attack per turn, you can only be counterattacked once per turn.
Right.
And now the spears also all have reach, which means that you can only be counterattacked if their weapon also has reach. So you're making one attack per turn that can't be counterattacked by most weapons, and if it is, and you have the shield, you can almost certainly block all the damage.
Yeah.
So it's pretty difficult to hurt this deck when it has the right combination of armors in play, and weapons and stuff. So it also has some ability to heal. So number 27 is the Healing Stone. It says once per turn you can sacrifice 1 endurance to recover 1 health.
Hey, that's the first one. That's the first thing in this game that I've seen that has heal.
Yeah, it's the only one.
Oh, nice.
Like I'm keeping it relatively limited. Now the other thing that I did plan on putting in would be a healing vial. So basically just vials that you can put in any deck that would recover some health, like let's say maybe 2 health or something like that, or 3. So yeah, so those are different things. Now there's also some counter poison and counter like affliction, counter status effect, kind of things in here. So like focus mind, for example, is a technique that says tick down each of your berserk and fear dice by 1.
Yeah.
So you can just roll them down. So he kind of gets over being berserker afraid like pretty quickly.
Oh, that was one question that I actually had when I played that agility deck. Was that mask? If I had that out and he used Berserk, does that automatically go away, or does it go away at the end of his turn?
Okay, it's not a vial that's causing it. So the mask doesn't prevent it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, but there are some decks that have vials where that'll cause berserk or fear or something.
Okay. Okay.
And usually those only have a duration of 1. So let's say I had a berserk vial, I could throw it on you and give you a berserk of 1, and you're
If I
wearing the
had that
mask.
helmet, it would
The
remove it, right?
mask says, that vials that cause you a status ailment start with 1 less duration. So it basically just makes you immune to it.
My God,
Gotcha.
this thing has 2 outfit lotteries.
Oh yeah.
It
Outfit
does,
lottery is
and
so
that
busted.
might be a favor that I have to reduce to a 1, only 1 per deck, you know?
I would think so.
So right, there's some tweaks that are still kind of
Yeah.
floating out there, but I put these decks together pretty rapidly.
Yeah, no.
I was actually able to get all 5 of them from the printed state that they're in into Tabletop Simulator in like on the same day, basically.
Nice.
So some of them still need some tweaks, but you can see the different things. So this deck is kind of interesting. It's got a couple of loops. There's this marathon sigil. It says once per turn you can sacrifice an endurance to tick down each of your poison dice by 1.
Where is that one?
It's number 28.
Yeah.
So that can be significant because at the end of your turn, let's say you had poison, at the end of your turn, let's say you have like 3 poison dice on, right? I just threw some dice out on the board in case you guys don't see. But if these are your poison dice,
Yeah.
And let's say 2 of them are at 1 and 1's at 3, at the end of your turn you would lose 3 health because you got 3 dice, and then
Yep.
each one would turn down. Like these 2 would go away,
Oh, okay.
these 2 would go away, and that would go to 2. And then next turn you would lose 1 health, and it would go down, and so on, right?
Yeah.
So the cool thing with that poison, that like anti-poison trinket, is that it allows you to sacrifice endurance to tick down all of your dice in the middle of your turn. And you'll still do that at the end of your turn and take damage. But if, let's say I had all 3 of these on and I used it right now, these 2 would just immediately go away and I'd be at 2. And so at the end of my turn, I'm only losing 1 health instead of 3.
Okay.
Nice.
You know what I'm saying? Like it
Yeah.
can be significant. So the more health, the more poison you have, the more powerful that effect is at getting rid of poison. It's kind of cool. So I have come back from a helplessly poisoned position and actually won
Nice.
with this deck before.
Josh, did you see Tether Cord? Number 25?
No, I missed that one.
It's a pretty handy one.
Oh my God.
It's a trinket for weapons.
Oh,
Wendy.
that's awesome.
Right.
I'm like, nope, it's coming back.
And the reason that it says, put the weapon into your hand instead of just like discard tether cord is so it gives you the opportunity to play something else if you wanted to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like you could still play that. Like let's say you had a tether cord on a spear and you throw the spear. The spear goes in your hand after it's resolved, and the tether cord goes in the discard. And then you could, of course, play that spear into your hands again before the turn ends. Obviously, it comes into your hands committed. You can't immediately attack with it again, but it will go back into your hands. Or you could just switch it with a different weapon. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's some kind of cool different things you can do with this deck that are pretty neat. The Athenian Cuirass, that's number 11. It says once per turn you can search your discard pile or armory for 1 endurance and put it in your hand, just straight up. But
Oh my
each time
God.
you do it, you lose a durability from the armor.
Yeah. Pretty good because it gives it more of a utility than just wearing a regular 3 costing armor.
Right. Let's look at the yellow deck real quick, and then that'll be all 3 of the additional decks.
This one has strength and endurance, and then the last one was an arcane and endurance.
Yes.
Right.
And then what's the yellow one?
It is appeal and agility. which is kind of the same as the assassin, but in different proportions. Like, so it's
Okay.
mostly appeal and a little bit of agility.
Okay.
So this is an appeal-based deck, but it's all built around poison.
Oh yeah, I remember this deck.
So, right. So it's got a few kind of interesting combos that can be done. You'll notice some of the earlier weapons, like weapon 4 and 5, the returning blade.
Pause for a
They,
moment. Can we
Okay.
look at card 14? That is a firm butt.
uh,
Oh,
yeah, so
hell
card
yeah.
14.
Hell yeah.
Okay, please continue.
As a
Sure,
gladiator's butt.
let's get to card 14, and well, let's talk about card 14. Why not?
Sure.
It's a shiny butt. Let's look at it.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay, so this one, it requires some agility, but also at least one appeal in order to play it. So it's a little bit more specific. It was my idea kind of from the beginning to have a few different sheath armors or trinkets, because initially sheaths were trinket.
Mm.
So anyway, which may become that again, I don't know. They would just have to be high cost trinkets. But anyway, so this is like leg armor that includes the sheath. Okay, so that's how this iteration is going. So it's hard to write all of the, description of what's actually happening with the sheath on one card. So it might need more text space or, additional info or, rules in the rule book to back it up. But basically what's intended is this. When you're wearing the blight sheath, you can take a weapon either from your hand or from your fighter's like grip, you know what I mean? One of the weapon slots.
Mm-hmm.
So you can use either an equipped weapon or one from your hand and attach it to the sheath.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so when you do that, you can put a six-sided die onto it that would give it like 3 poison. Okay, so when you put a weapon away in the sheath, it applies poison to it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Oh, okay. I understand that now. Okay.
so then you can take a weapon not in the same turn. Basically, this works across the board. Anytime you attach something, you can't take it off in the same turn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like with everything.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'd just be playing it as like an instant thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say you put a weapon away last turn into the sheath, and you have an open hand you can put it into, one of your fighter's hands.
Yep.
So you put it into your fighter's hand and refresh it, so it comes in your hand ready.
Mm-hmm.
And now it has poison 3.
Yeah.
On that weapon. So the way that works is you have an effect applied to a weapon like poison 3 or something.
Mm-hmm.
When that weapon deals damage, if it actually causes damage to an opponent, then you move the die onto them as poison.
All of it? The whole thing? The 3?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and your weapon is no longer poison. You have to reapply it.
I get it.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And then you could put the weapon away in a later turn, and then another turn after that you could draw it again, and it would be, it would have poison.
Yep.
So it's kind of slow because you'd have to, put a weapon in it, the next turn draw it and attack,
Yeah.
and then the turn after move it back in, and then the turn after that draw and attack. So when that's combined with weapons like number 4 and 5, the returning blade, then that gets really interesting. So returning blade, you can see it's card 4 and 5. It has this thing. It's just like any other weapon that's thrown, you would discard it to make an attack, and you can't be counterattacked, right?
Right.
But with the returning blade, it returns to your hand at the end of your turn.
That's
instead of staying in your
pretty
discard.
crazy.
Now it only has 1 durability point, because you might be thinking like, well, isn't it unfair to like heal it all the time by throwing it and getting it back? And so it just never needs to be healed. Like if you block with it, it breaks.
Yeah.
So the downside of working with these is you can't block with it. Otherwise, you're sacrificing it basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's kind of cool is if you got two of those in your, and they're in your hand, and your character throws one, you could play the other one into the open hand, and at the end of your turn, refresh the one you just played, and then pick up the one you played in the previous turn and put it back in your hand. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
So you can kind of like cycle them, and you can't be counterattacked with those. When attacking with those. So you're kind of like a ranged guy. It's almost like you're causing poison, and then not directly engaging in a way that can get you counterattacked.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of one of the strategies with this deck. So it has a couple of armors also that can take two trinkets, so that you can like double
Where's
up trinkets.
Where does it say it can have more than one trinket? Oh, two trinkets. Okay, got it. I see the helmet.
Yes, some of the armor has two trinkets, like can take two trinkets, like the ornate Burgonet and the quality Brigandine. This Brigandine is in the assassin deck. It's you've seen it be used.
Yep. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But I think the cost may be changed. I like Chimera's Talon a lot. Have you seen that? That's number 9.
Hell yeah, that was awesome.
So Chimera's Talon, when it deals damage, it causes a random ailment. So you roll a 6-sided die, and it might cause poison 3, it might cause berserk 1, or it might cause one of your opponent's weapons to be exhausted.
Yeah. Wait, your
so
weapon?
it's like a random, and you can kind of deal with
your opponents. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty strong too, as a third weapon or third level.
Right. For a 3, it might, and I've tweaked the cost like on and off a couple things. Now one of its main drawbacks is you just better not be blocking with it. It only blocks 2 and it only has 2 durability, so you want to be just attacking and counter-attacking with it. Now, if you're also using other weapons that you can't really block with, like the returning blades, that can be tough to put that in the mix, because you really can't be blocking anything with those.
Yeah.
So there's like a basic shield is the next. It's like a low level shield, like a wicker shield. It has 4 durability, 4 block. So you could use that potentially if you need to be blocking with
Nick
weapons.
Cage trapped behind that wicker shield.
What's that?
Man, nothing. I was saying you should have Nick Cage on that card, trapped behind the wicker shield.
With bees.
Nice. Not the bees.
Not the bees!
So,
Poison Rain. That's awesome.
Locusta's gloves is kind of cool. When you have Locusta's gloves on, poison caused by you has +1 duration, so just kind of improves your ability to poison. Yeah, Poison Rain is a favor that poisons everyone, including you.
Yeah.
And so let's look at number 21, the Shroud of Mithridates.
Yep.
So that one says poison causes you to recover instead of losing it. Recover health instead of losing it. So like, since you can use your poison vials, which this deck has 3 of course, maximum, you can use your vials on anybody, including yourself. So if you had Shroud of Mithridates, you could just use a poison vial on yourself to cause healing.
That is awesome.
I hope you never teamed up with me, Josh. You're going to be poisoned for days.
Right? Like, sorry, buddy.
I just want to test out how potent this poison is.
I'll be the guinea pig.
So this deck also has Tyrant's Favor, like the red deck that Josh just played.
Yeah.
Where you can use a favor from anybody's discard, and since Poison Rain is limited to 1, you could use this to use it again, or potentially use it to use outfit lottery more than once, or
Nice.
Now there's some other kinds of interesting things too. There's a technique called Share the Drink. It lets you use a vial from any fighter's discard pile. And then there's which this deck has 2 of them, which would allow you to use your poison vials again. Yeah. And then there's also a thing that shuffles them in, which is another round. It says search your discard for 2 vials and shuffle them into your armory.
Oh, okay.
So you could be moving the poison back in your armory and then searching them out or whatever, you know.
Okay.
This deck also has 2 of the utility chains, which are the trinkets that let you look for 2 items when you put them into play.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of ways that you can, you know, dig items out and cycle items and stuff, which are mostly poison vials for this deck.
Okay.
So it's a pretty
Oh,
interesting
okay.
deck. It has just regular dodge techniques there at the end. Oh yeah, then there's Arrogant Attack. So Arrogant Attack is an attack technique
Well, I don't think
that
I've seen that.
basically
What is
just
that?
does draw 2 cards if your opponent does not respond to you with a counter attack.
Oh, there it is. Nice.
And so, you know, with attack techniques, you play them at the time that you declare your attack. So it's not like a surprise. So the other person could be like, well, I'm not going to let you draw and I'm going to counterattack you. I mean, that just means that they can't be blocking. But also, you could use this with an attack that can't be counterattacked. Like you
Yeah.
throw something at them and they can't counterattack you. And you just
Uh.
use it with that to guarantee your draw.
Wait, you can put attack techniques with thrown items,
With thrown weapon.
thrown weapons. Okay.
Because you can use techniques with weapon. So you could use it with the returning blade, for example.
What about that rock, that throwing rock? Is that just an item then? It's not like an attack?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. That's right. Yeah,
That's
the
pretty
dart
funny.
is an item, not a weapon.
Okay.
Returning blade with the arrogant attack.
Yeah.
Right.
Ha, nerd.
Nerd.
Like...
There's like a nerd class in the arena.
Now, this deck also used to have, but I cycled it. I took it out, and maybe I want to put it back. But it used to have, like, this deck or the assassin should have it because it's a really cool technique. It's a technique called Deep Lunge, and so when you play that with an attack, it gives it reach.
Wow.
So, like, let's say you're playing the assassin and you use that lunge to attack, you can't be counterattacked.
Where's Deep Lunge at?
It's not in here.
Oh,
It
okay.
used to be.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So that's a technique you could use to, you know, get reach on an opponent. If they don't have a weapon with reach, you can attack them and you can't be counterattacked.
Okay. Gotcha,
And then inversely, if you used that weapon or you use that technique on a counterattack, you could counterattack somebody who has the reach on you. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if somebody's attacking
okay.
you with like
Yeah,
a spear and you counterattack and play Deep Lunge on your counterattack, you can reach them.
Okay.
Even though you might not be able to otherwise. So that's a pretty cool technique. And this deck used to have it mostly for harassment with the Chimera's Talon.
Yeah.
You know, because you'd be like, oh, well, if you can't damage me with that, then I'm not going to take on an affliction. But they're like, surprise, I can reach you with this and counterattack.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
Oh,
So there's one more strength-based deck that's been around forever, but it's not in here right now. And that's like this kind of like a berserk attacker. It actually has crazy heavy attacks. It can do slightly more damage than the gladiator can.
Okay.
And there are a lot of durability sacrifices in order to increase damage. So it has like an axe, for example, where you can do like reckless swing, reckless chop or whatever. And when you take away one of its durability, it'll increase its attack power by 2. And that Berserk deck is pretty cool. It also has Arcane as a separate, like a secondary attribute to support it. So it has like a lot of high damage weapons, but then some weird stuff to support them, like some weird arcane stuff.
Ooh.
One of the things is a body armor that will give you a third hand.
Oh yeah, I remember you telling me about that.
So
Yeah.
then you can equip, like a two-handed and a one-handed or whatever, 3 individual weapons.
That's so cool.
Freak. Mutant freak.
That deck has some, I'm working on balancing it out, but it has some special kind of play conditions that you can play with the Berserk status effect.
Like it
So
gives
what
you
I'm saying
berserk.
is it has some benefits of being Berserk.
Yeah. That's what I was
So
imagining.
like, yeah. So like if you are Berserk, yes, you're forced to attack and you're forced to counterattack anytime you can. But it also would increase the damage when you're Berserk.
Nice.
Okay.
That's cool.
And so you can,
That sounds crazy.
so
Oh,
it would give you like a +1 damage for each of your Berserk dice.
Jesus.
So if you manage to stack a couple of points of Berserk on, you could get like a +2 or a +3.
I'm gonna grab my wobble pillow. My butt's starting to. Ugh.
So, I mean, those are all the different kinds of, decks that I have. Well, there are some other ones too. There's one that has heavy armor and all two-handed weapons. And the idea behind the way that it's like a endurance and appeal, actually.
Really?
So it has some appeal things for extra draws,
Mhm.
so that you can
Endurance
be
and
loaded
appeal?
out. Endurance and appeal.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So then you'd have like extra draws and things like that. And then its two-handed weapons are mostly kind of generic because there's not a lot of really powerful two-handed endurance and appeal weapons. But if you have ridiculous body armor, it's like a heavily armored knight kind of a thing.
Okay.
Like if you have ridiculous body armor, you can be counterattacking like all the time.
Yeah.
And so that deck also has multiple ways of like recovering durability points and stuff.
I like the idea of that.
Awesome. Yeah, that sounds cool to me too.
So you're basically just tanking everything and counterattack.
Nice.
Damn.
I
Sounds
think
fucking
the last 5 minutes of the stream is just me highlighting Blight's Sheath.
cool.
I mean that's a cool one.
You see the hold on, let me find the name of that one. The Thin Blood Gem.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Thin Blood Gem, I played around with the different effects of that quite a lot. What number was it again? I'm looking
Close to the
for. Oh, there
bottom.
it is.
It's 20.
Okay. Yeah. So the way I was looking at it is this: that it would be interesting if there was a way to accelerate the poison effect.
Right.
And at one point, back when I was doing a lot of basic stuff with the game, I'm trying to figure out how poison stacking should work, if there should even be poison stacking. And so, like when there didn't used to be a lot of poison stacking, you'd have a lot of ways to cause poison and no reason to do it.
Right, yep.
So there needed to be a way of accelerating poison damage or something. So that's when the Thin Blood Gem idea kind of came into play, which is, if a fighter takes any damage from this weapon, increase the damage by 1 for each of that fighter's poison dice. So they take a poison damage now if they take any damage from your weapon. Now, sometimes I've combined that with also then ticking down all the dice. So it causes the poison effect to happen right now. But that doesn't really help you unless it's like the end turn.
Yeah.
Unless it's the final turn, where they're going to die, and you just
Yeah.
want to cut it short.
Yeah.
Then there was some gloves that actually cause this effect, and it was too much because then you could use this effect on multiple weapons per turn, which was like too much. You could potentially do like, if you were able to attack like 3 times in a turn, you could do as much as maybe 9 bonus damage just from, you know what I mean?
Damn.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
My
like,
God.
it's too much, you know. So anyway, I just turned it into a trinket for weapons, so just that weapon can
Makes
get the
sense.
effect,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's a good way
which
to.
makes a lot of sense. And I might reduce that to being a max of like 1 or something. I don't know. Thin Blood Gem is okay, but it doesn't even need to be a thing that goes
Fine.
into the future. It's an interesting idea, but like
Nice.
now that you can stack poison, you don't like need it.
All right,
But
all
yeah.
right, Scott. Since you're the winner of that camera, this camera, this camera,
Yeah.
tell the people what's going on.
Okay, so I mean, I just want to thank you guys for playing
Yeah.
and you
Of
know,
course,
featuring the
dude.
game.
This game's awesome.
I
And
love this game. Yeah.
we need to do this some more. I would really like to have a 3-player duel with you guys in the future.
Yes, we will
Um,
definitely get.
also,
We will definitely do
you
that.
know, of course, this will be a thing that there will be a campaign in the future for physical copies of this game. I might also do, you know, purchasable, like, you know, a marketed digital copy of the game as well. I'm not sure about that. I know I at least want to put up a free DLC for Tabletop Simulator where you can play with limited content
Yeah.
and decide if you like it. Um, you know, at no additional cost. Just
Right.
to try it out and check it out.
Is there a
And then, you
way?
know,
Is there a way that in Tabletop Simulator that you can deck build in your own game and then bring that deck into another game? I'm assuming not. So like,
um,
let's say me and
you
Josh
can,
have the card list of whatever, and you gave us the
well,
ability to.
I can give you some more information on that in the future because I don't know all of the details. But
Hmm.
yeah, like if you are the GM,
Hmm.
you know, like if you start a game, you'd be the GM. Like let's
Hmm.
say you got this expansion.
Yeah.
And you started a game and you know, you're the GM, you haven't invited anybody into it. Yeah, you can remix the decks and then save copies of the decks into like a library of saved objects
Okay.
and then
Okay.
just drop it. That's how I constructed these,
Yeah.
kind of. You know, I mean, you could remix them and then just save those new copies and drop them
Okay.
out. So yeah,
Okay.
you can do that, but also Tabletop Simulator has a separate like a program, like a separate executable that you can use for deck building.
Mm. Yeah.
So you could do that like outside of game, I'm pretty sure, but I haven't used it yet. I haven't tried it yet.
Okay.
Because you know, because I went through constructing all these over like hundreds of play tests already.
Hmm.
So I just kind of, you know, put them together the way they're put together in their physical form.
Okay.
I didn't really rebuild these.
And every game after that, Scott will be there commenting on with his phone on
Right.
Discord.
And so the main reason why this isn't available right now as free, like at the time of this recording, as free DLC is just because the rules need to be really solid so that people can understand how to play it just by reading the rules that are
Oh yeah.
included in the
Yeah.
DLC.
Yeah.
So I'm doing, what's holding it up is really my continually refining the way that the rules are written until it looks really solid, until it reads really solid. So that's a main hold up here.
Very nice.
So my vision of how this would go in the future is you'd be able to either buy like a box that would essentially have like all of, you know, a number of pre-constructed decks
Hmm.
and or full expansions. So like
Okay.
for example, buy a copy of a full expansion and it has, you know, let's say 3 copies of every card because 3 is the max card count for all the cards. You know? Something like that, and then you can build whatever decks you want from it. You
Yeah.
know,
Okay.
like there's not going to be random, you know, boosters or anything like that to have to go find. I'm trying to just give people as much content as possible in one box as
Yeah.
I can.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
in
No, I
order to
wouldn't do
keep it
boosters.
fresh and interesting, though, after that, unless I'm doing it by expansions, just releasing whole expansions.
Mhm.
After that, I would still like to have some dueling decks come out. So there might be an expansion where it's like you buy 2 decks that are balanced to play well against each other, like a lot of other card games do.
Yeah,
Like you see this
yeah.
with Magic or Pokemon, where you can buy 2 decks together
Yep.
that are balanced against each other. And so they'd introduce, new cards and also some kind of interesting new themes. And I would like to see that then go into like other like cultures and times and things like that too.
That would be awesome.
So
Yeah.
like eventually there would be, I imagine like fighters from Warring States period, like soldiers of China from Warring States period, or
Yeah, dude, that'd be awesome.
like
Vikings.
samurai or
So cool.
whoever, and they would be kind of pulled into this realm of the Shattered Arena.
Right. That'd be awesome. That'd be crazy.
Yeah.
That'd be like the next season or the next expansion or something.
Right, right.
Wait, that guy's got a gun.
No, it's okay. I have a returning blade with poison.
Wait,
And then the
That's-
crowd
that's
goes
not
wild.
Indiana Jones.
that's not really a planned expansion, but
All right, Scott. Well, thank you for letting us play test your game. It is definitely really awesome to go into in depth with it and doing a bunch of sample battles with it. Where can people find you?
okay, yeah. Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, there is a shatteredarena.com, which is the official site for the game. I update that not all that often, but if you're interested in potentially backing, you can go there and you can sign up for email notifications. And I almost never send out email notifications through there. So if you'd like to just kind of be, like in the list for later when it's time for me to hit people up for backing, that's the best way to do it.
Mhm.
If you'd like to be the most up to date on art, or if we're going somewhere for a demo, that sort of a thing, and when we're streaming and things like that, then like the Facebook page for
Oh yeah.
Shattered Arena. Also, there's an Instagram too, and I haven't been updating them as regularly as I normally would, but that's going to start happening again as we start to complete more artwork and things like that.
Oh, cool.
Well,
So Instagram, Facebook, and sign up for email notifications through the website if you're interested.
hell yeah. Well, everybody get excited because this is really fun. And if you are interested in it, hit up our boy Scott. Hit up our boy Scott, and maybe he'll let you play test it. And be lucky enough to play test it. All right,
Yeah,
guys.
and I honestly just love to play it with people. So
I can't wait to see a 3-player match because I haven't been in a 3-player.
yeah,
You are going to see it because we're going to do it.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Awesome. All right, guys.
Okay, thank you.
Of course. Have a good night, guys. And